Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on March the 8th, 2016. I'm your host, Angry at Windows 10, and with me, my co-host...
Caffeine Rage. What, I don't get Captain Ibuprofen again?
No, I already used it. It feels weird. Plus, I gave myself the weird name this time. So, in case you're wondering what the heck's going on with our introduction, we got 15 minutes into the show, and Windows 10 tried to update tried to hijack and update my PC. So it shut everything down immediately and began the update, to which I promptly said, F you, and pressed the reset button because I don't want Windows 10 on my main PC yet. And this update came from out of nowhere. I got no prompts. I had nothing earlier today that was like, hey, if you ignore us, we're going to update Windows 10, or update your PC to Windows 10. Nope, nothing. Just everything closed and updating to Windows 10.
For your convenience.
So screw you, Windows 10.
Yeah, but to be honest, I mean, Windows looks at your running processes and sees a recording program running. I mean, how are they supposed to know that you're actually doing something?
Yeah, I'm not trying to work or anything over here.
It's like Windows Update trying to restart in the middle of me recording a game. Because usually, well, I would say usually, but this was before the podcast, so my Tuesday nights are filled with other recording activities. Bow chicka wow wow. I'd be recording a game, and about once a month I would get Windows Update to knock me out of a game. And it seems like no matter what I did, if I turned off automatic updates, didn't work. If I turned off automatic downloads, it didn't work.
I've got automatic updates turned off, but it still downloads automatically. And I'll just sit there and stare at the little thing that says, the little shield for installing updates for like days before I finally restart my PC. Because it basically just sits on 24/7.
Yeah, I've had that, but it still, does the automatic restart if I don't catch it.
Yep, but anyway, since we've had to restart the show, so for the second time on today's show, we'll be talking about the games we've played. A Target in Australia replaces games covers with plain packaging. Lionhead Studios and Press Play closed down. How Steam key reselling is killing the little guy. The Division shat the bed. This week's Community Corner. And our Steam Weekly Deals discussion. So I think they already have a pretty good idea of how we're feeling right now.
Well, I should probably explain Captain Ibuprofen is that I'm a little hopped up on painkillers right now because I screwed up my back.
Right.
And nothing heroic. I literally just slept wrong, and I'm getting old.
Yeah, turning an old man. Yeah, I called him Captain Ibuprofen because he told me like he was taking copious amounts of it in the first intro. And also, I'm high as a kite on cold medicine because I have a head cold, and it sucks. So
yeah, so we're both high and now pissed off.
Yeah,
at a little podcastus interruptus,
which has a good shot at being the name of this episode, unless something better happens during the show.
Yeah, well, I usually have an alternate name for my thought anyway, so I think I have an idea for that one as well.
Sometimes I do too, but I got nothing right now, so. Rage, you want to talk about your games again?
Well, I played one for the channel this week. As usual, the Sunday Sampler had a quick look at Trulon, the Shadow Engine. A mobile port of an RPG that was kind of interesting. It has a sort of a card-based battle system. It was weird, but it also has all the problems with a mobile port in that it has no tooltips whatsoever, so I have no idea what the hell I'm doing half the time. But I got about an hour of gameplay on my channel for it, Gaming with Caffeine Rage. Ding! If you want to see that directly. It wasn't a bad game, though, so I can't really talk too ill of it. It's just, it has all the problems of a mobile port, and it has none of the quality of life issues that you would expect from a PC game. And then, since I've been, a little out of it the last couple days because I hurt my back actually yesterday, for me, morning. And I completely missed that day because, my back was hurting so much I was, hopped up on ibuprofen and laying in bed, not feeling like playing anything. And today I basically slept because I missed, sleeping a good chunk of yesterday because, well, it was hurting too much. So I only got really Sword of the Stars in for actual gameplay that wasn't attached to my YouTube channel at all. And the tutorial on that game sucks. As in, it is literally useless.
Yep.
I'm playing the Game of the Year edition, and they, according to Jared in our brief piece of the podcast that we lost, they removed the wall of text that they had in the original and replaced it with videos. And for some reason, all my videos were essentially muted and no subtitles. So I ended up just flying a colony ship around, probably about 15 or 20 minutes. This was also very late at night, so it's very possible that I just missed something. I flew this colony ship around and couldn't figure out how to colonize another planet. Or even what a good planet was to colonize.
Right.
Basically, the only thing I learned was that if you include a tanker into your fleet, your ships could go further without running out of fuel.
Until the tanker runs out too.
Yeah, but then you send another tanker, and then it's tankers all the way down.
So I had another thought. Do you know if the planet you were trying to colonize could actually be colonized? Planets have habitable ratings, and the more...
Well, here's the thing, is that I flew around, I want to say 20 planets, and I couldn't colonize any of them.
Did you have people in your colony ship?
It's possible that I didn't, because I have no idea how to play, and the tutorials aren't helping me.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You do have to put colonists in.
So it's very possible that, just assuming that would be like Civ, where, the actual unit is all you need. You don't need to load it.
You do have to load it, but I think your starting colony ships start preloaded. I could be wrong. It has been a little while since I've played it, but I could have swore they were.
Well, I wouldn't even know how to check because I have no idea. And once again, the tutorials were literally useless.
Yep, they're pretty garbage.
And I just didn't, it was late at night, and I didn't feel like digging around on YouTube trying to find a tutorial that I actually had audio to it.
Yeah, the way I learned how to play was just playing a couple of games on easy until I got the hang of it.
But outside of that, it wasn't bad. The tech tree is a little weird just because it turns out that you have to zoom in to find out what the hell anything is if you don't know the icons.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any hover over tooltips in that game at all.
Yeah, hover over tooltips are so overrated. I mean, who needs quality of life?
Well, this game is pretty old. It came out in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, this was before hover over tooltips were invented. I have no idea if that's true or not. I'm just making it up at this point.
Yeah, the tech tree is a little wonky, but once you get used to it, it's fine. A whole lot of options, a lot of stuff you can do with it.
Yeah, we're really off because you did like 7 or 8 minutes of just talking about Sword of the Stars, then your computer reset, so...
Yeah, I feel weird talking about it again. Like, the gist of what I said before was that the tech tree is extremely deep, and I've talked about it being randomized before. So if you get a really good randomization, you can get hundreds of different combinations of things that you can do because there's a ship builder, as there are in most 4X space strategy games, at least the ones that I'm familiar with. And, you can design different ships, and there's different classes of ships, and a really good tech tree spin will give you hundreds of options you can choose from to build like really useful custom fleets and custom ships. But a crappy tech tree in that respect, will probably have some good stuff in other ways, but having limited ship parts,
you would have to completely change your the victory conditions you're going for.
Yeah, usually you get a decent spread. I don't think I've ever had a game where it was completely one-sided towards non-military or completely one-sided towards military. Although I've played a bunch of games, I owned this game originally on disc. It came on, I think, 4 or 5 CDs, and then I owned it as a DVD version of the game, which was just on 2 DVDs, and then I bought it on Steam. So I've played, I don't know, a few hundred games of Sword of the Stars against all kinds of computer opponents. So it's hard to remember exactly every tech tree randomization I've ever had. You just learn to get good and work with what you're given each time to try and achieve a different victory condition. But
Yeah, I think it's just something that we're probably going to both have to sit down together and do a co-op game. Assuming that we can, of course, because it looks like it was running through GameSpot, and it looks like Game Ranger doesn't have this game on its list.
Oh, Lord. Another one of those? I did not realize that.
Yeah, I was looking at that and realized, ooh, GameSpot. And I immediately went to Game Ranger, which was our option for SWAT 4, and it wasn't on the list that I saw.
Well, we can see. It might run through Steam.
I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. We'll probably have to get Hamachi or something like that.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Eventually.
I also don't know what Hamachi is, but I assume it's something
Hamachi
that emulates...
is virtual LAN.
I was going to say, I bet it emulates a virtual LAN.
Yeah.
I've played some multiplayer games of it in the past, back when GameSpy was still a thing. I didn't like it very much, playing against other people. Like, it would be fun to play with you because, we're two friends playing a game. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Well, I mean, we would team up. I wouldn't fight you. I mean, it would be no contest because I know what I'm doing and you have no clue. But, someone that I know and can talk to. But playing against random people online, it kind of suffers from being one of those games where the people that are good at it very quickly establish a dominant lead and you're just fighting a losing battle from there on.
Yeah, playing 4X games in general online against randoms is very, very tough. I've heard some bad stories about Civ 5, for example. Just people dragging their feet or, just being utter dicks because they realize that they're in a losing situation.
Yeah, and the turn timers can be turned up very high if you use a turn timer, which, you would be silly not to playing against random people online. But, I mean, you can get, 10-minute turn timers, and someone will sit there and run out the whole 10 minutes. Ugh. And by the end of the game, if you're dealing with many, many planets, that's okay. But in the beginning of the game where you can breeze through turns in, 30 seconds, it's stupid to wait 10 minutes. Those people are the worst.
Well, I'm sure we have worse to talk about tonight.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Are those the only games you played this week?
Yeah, that's like I said. I had 2 days where I was just laying in bed, going, kill me.
That's more funny than it is sad. I'm sure that you were in a lot of pain, but just you saying it that way, just it's like a bad porno.
And now you're going to put bed music into it, aren't you?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see how much work I feel like doing. So
you mean any work, right? Outside of just basic editing.
Yeah, I mean, I have to do a little bit of work. So me this week, I actually played several games that I'm going to talk about. The first, I had some company come over on Sunday, and we played Smash Brothers Wii U. Nothing really special to talk about. I haven't bought any of the DLC or anything like that because
all the little figurines.
Well, I've got one little figurine, but I didn't use it because I had a friend over to play with. But I haven't purchased any of the DLC or anything for Smash Bros. Because I don't play it enough to justify it. And it's an alright single-player game, but it's definitely more of a party game, or at least playing with a friend or two. So I've not got much to say about it. It's fun. I should play it more. The online aspect of it was pretty good with minimal lag most of the time. So, I mean, I could play it online with people and get a bit more of a challenge, but I don't really ever turn my consoles on at all. Any of them. Or either of them. I guess I only got two. So, that's just pretty much all I have to say about Smash Bros. I played Marvel's... Yeah, really exciting. I played... And for anyone wondering, my two primary characters on Smash Bros. Wii U are Fox and Marth. Just in case.
Okay, I'm going to pretend I know who the second one is. I think I know the first.
Yeah, Fox from Star Fox, and then Marth is from Fire Emblem.
Oh, okay. I never played Fire Emblem, or I never played far into Fire Emblem.
I've played a couple of the Fire Emblems, but just older ones. I don't know what the heck is going on in the story. I mean, they look cool, they interest me, but it's like I'm so confused. I don't own a 3DS.
Well, it's nothing emulation won't fix.
That's true. I could emulate it, but I have lots of other games that I play on my PC. So, I mean, I'm always on the search for mobile games that will hold my attention. Unlike Marvel Avengers Academy.
Oh boy!
Yeah, you see that segue? So I
and
kept
now
playing
it's ruined.
Well, I always have to point them out. I kept playing it, hoping that it would get better. And they were, oh, there's some big events coming this coming week. There's big events coming. Like, they were advertising that. They obviously weren't telling me that personally. And I was like, okay, I'll wait to see what the events are. They're hyping them up. And basically, the events introduced 2 characters, which are going to be in the game in the future. But, like, as characters you can acquire for free. But you can buy them on early access before they come out by paying, real money to unlock them so that you can complete this event. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm looking at the additional info on this, and I didn't catch this before. In-app products, 99 cents to $123.
Yep. You can buy in-game currency and then specific characters just for straight up money. Or in-game currency, not in-game currency, but like their premium currency.
Yeah.
And I was like, nope, I'm out. I was giving this game a second chance, and they just went and ruined it, so I'm done with that. I might eventually, forget and come back in 6 or 8 months and be like, oh yeah, that Avengers game I played, I'll see if it got any better. And I'll probably be disappointed again.
Well, what's amazing is that it has 4 stars out of 5.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people just, I don't have a problem with this kind of game. It's just the way that they're just keep throwing it in your face that really bothers me. I like the games that kind of hide it. It's like, oh yeah, this is clearly a toilet game and we want you to spend your money, but we're not going to constantly throw it in your face. Like, those are the kind of games like that I like. Yeah, and Marvel Avengers Academy just constantly shoves it in your face.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's a toilet game, but the one I did for the Sunday Sampler, it is a mobile port, so there is a mobile version out there. I'm not sure how well it plays, but it may be something that you want to look into for an RPG that's actually somewhat decent. It's supposed to be I think under 10 hours to complete.
That's a lot of time actually for a mobile game.
Yeah.
I mean, usually you're playing it for 5-10 minutes at a time, so 10 hours would last a while. The next game I played this week was Sky Saga. I think it has a subtitle, The Infinite Isles or something like that. Sky Saga, I told you about this game earlier this week, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe over the weekend. It is a Minecraft-esque game with, mining and building elements.
Mm-hmm.
It's also got some kind of RPG or adventure element to it. I haven't got to play it enough yet. I just got my alpha access today, like an hour before the first time we started recording the show. So I downloaded it real quick and checked it out a little bit before we started. It's got a really cute art style. Everything is really blocky like Minecraft, except the characters.
Yeah, the characters are not blocks like Minecraft. They actually look a lot better.
And the color palette is full and rich, and it looks really good. They put a lot of effort into it. And for an alpha game, it's in a really good play state. I feel like they focused on making the game run properly first, and then they're using the rest of the alpha and probably the beta time in the future to flush out the content within the game, because it's pretty content light so far. You have basically an island that you start on, and it's like your home. And you can do anything you want to your home island, and then you have to travel to different worlds, or, I don't know, different islands, I guess, using this teleporter and a little bitty airship that you have. And you explore and you fight enemies and collect resources and things, and you can bring them back to your home island in order to build. So it's more than just building. It's also got an exploration and kind of RPG elements where you can level up stuff and unlock perks. And I think that if this is true, I won't like this, but I can't confirm it yet, just because I haven't spent enough time in the game. But I think you have to level up to unlock certain craftable items.
Not sure how I like that. And I'm looking at their FAQ, and it says that there will be data wipes as well during the alpha stage.
Yeah, this is their 7th alpha, so they've had 6 wipes before.
Yeah,
and I'm
not
not
sure if I
bothered by
want to
the
get
wipes,
invested in
but
that right now.
well, I heard about it on the co-optional podcast. The guest they had last week talked it up a lot, and so when I applied for alpha access and I got accepted. So, um, just because I'm always looking for a game like this to have in my life, I've cycled through quite a few. If you go look at my Steam list, and then I've also played Minecraft, and I actively play Space Engineers. So I always like to have a
When
game
you're
or
not
two like
playing
this
at
around.
Eve.
Yeah, which is rare these days, but I am still playing Space Engineers. Um, I based on my hours worth of experience, it looks fun. I unlocked the kind of social hub. It's like a little pre-built town where that all of the players can go for something. I don't know what that is yet. Like that was literally the last thing I did was unlock the social hub, and I went there as part of a quest, but I haven't done anything yet. So we'll see. I'm gonna check it out some. I'll probably record some stuff for it and put it on my channel. That's a gaming psychologist on YouTube.
Ding.
But I'm definitely going to be playing it more because it looks interesting. Like it captured me with the first hour of gameplay, and I want to explore the world more and figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
so
looks like it's going to be a free to play, and I think I'll be something I'll try out once it gets into the beta stage.
Yeah, it does. It does have. I'm sure there's going to be a microtransaction store.
Yeah, they said that there's going
to
be in-game purchases, and I want to see what they do with that before I get invested.
Yeah, because it looks like there's the framework of a store there, but there's not a store, and then you can get daily bonuses for logging in. So I mean, it's like that's very much free to play-esque, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, if the gameplay is compelling enough, I would still play it. So, and who knows? Might give him some money. And then, of course, after that, we move on to my weekly vice of EVE Online.
Strap in, folks. Here we go.
Actually, there's not a lot to talk about this week. We're planning for the new Citadel update. My corporation is, and we're starting some very intense, not exactly rules, just like we're raising corporation taxes, and we're going to be doing a lot of mining operations over the next few weeks
in words,
preparation
you are
for
moist
Citadels.
about this news.
Yes, that is one way to put it. Because Citadels are supposed to be coming in April, like mid to late April.
So, in other words, I'm looking for a podcast co-host for April.
Yeah, especially the 2 weeks my wife is gone. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna take pictures and post them, but I'm going to basically move my dining table over next to my desk. I borrowed my dad's laptop because he never ever uses it, and it's the same model as mine, so I know it'll run Eve. And then I've got my laptop, and I'm gonna run both of my main accounts on my primary desktop, and then I'm gonna create 3 trial accounts and have them.
I can't help but feel like this is a call for help.
And then I'm gonna play Eve. I'm gonna have 5 accounts going at once for those 2 weeks. But anyways, we're doing all this stuff getting set up for Citadels because the blueprint for the medium Citadel costs 7 billion ISK, and then it's estimated that it's going to cost another billion to build it, and then you'll have to maintain it and provide fuel for it, and to run the modules and stuff. So we would like to be able to purchase and build one at their launch. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, we've got to make a lot of money because we've only got like $500 million sitting in the corporate account right now.
Only.
Yeah, only $500 million. That's not a lot, Neve. It's enough to get you one like battleship, and that's it. But so that's basically what we're planning to do. I've been testing out one trial account this week to figure out what the limitations actually are on the trial account, and I'm set. I know what I'm gonna do, and I'm just running it right now to get extra mining. But otherwise, the drama's pretty much over. Nobody from my past corp has contacted me again after their initial mean letters when I told them that I was just gonna wash my hands of their drama and they could contact me again when they'd sorted it all out. Haven't heard from them since they sent me mean letters, so there's nothing there. I did get Groove to playing. He sent us a letter this week, and
the illness is spreading.
Yep, he started playing. He said in his letter that he's played 22 hours over the last
that's
2 or 3 days.
later in the podcast, isn't it?
It is. But just
you're
explaining
showing
what's
off.
going on.
That's what you are.
And he hasn't started playing yet. Again, at least not to my knowledge. But Supe said that he's been dreaming about, like, having actual dreams about Eve, and he was cursing me for getting it back on his mind. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna come play soon.
Maybe gets peer pressure.
I hope so. I'm okay with that. Peer pressuring other people to come enjoy my vice with me.
Well, I meant for me.
Oh. I mean, it's okay if you don't play. I totally get why you would not play Eve. Oh, and
I already
have
Warframe.
You do have Warframe. You could abandon it and come play Eve.
Yeah, but then my little ball of anger will get pissed at me. And she has a giant sword now.
Yes, that is huge. Bigger than you were. It's like twice the size of Valkyr. But anyways, and I did finally get my all the things I like about Eve video.
Yeah, I saw that pop up.
I explained in the video why it took so long, because there were a number of problems that went along with that video too. But I got it sorted out finally, so it's what's the title of it? I will now gush about Eve Online for 23 minutes.
Yeah, someone hasn't been watching Total Biscuit at all.
Yeah, I might have stolen that a little bit or a lot, but that's okay. So that's all the games I've played this week, and my Eve story for the week. Got to stir up some more drama. I like having juicy stories.
Go start another war.
No. It is nice to just have a chill week where the most interesting thing is like, well, we raised taxes and we're going to do a bunch of mining. Like, that's nice. Oh, and one other thing. This isn't about games, but I think this is probably the best place to put it, and then we might plug them at the end. But I closed it. The Spacebar podcast.
Yeah, that was actually going to be in Community Corner as well, because they have a couple of tweets in the list.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Then we can just talk about them in Community Corner. I don't check the tweets that go in. That's your thing. So, I had a whole big long Twitter conversation with them earlier today.
Yeah, I had a little bit of one, and I made a snarky comment on their first post on their YouTube channel, which they actually have a dedicated YouTube for.
Yeah, maybe we should do that.
I don't think we should, because, well, you have, 50-some subscribers, and I'm closing in on 100?
Yeah, I have 51. I got another subscriber this week.
Yeah, I'm at 96.
And our podcast RSS feed is up to 51 subscribers as well.
Oh, wow. So yeah. We're both using our captured audiences already, and, starting another channel just kind of negates what we already ran. And plus, I already made a very snazzy thumbnail for my channel.
Snazzy. Well, that's a lot of fair
I did
points.
A complete overwork on my thumbnail styling, and I decided to do one for the podcast as well.
Yeah, I've seen some of those. They look sexy.
Yeah, you haven't seen the podcast one yet.
I don't think so.
No, I made it literally after I sent you. I think I sent you the one for the Sunday sampler.
Yeah, you did.
And you saw the one. You saw the A and the B blocks already rolled out, which is what I'm calling the just the time slots. It goes the A, B, C, A, B, podcast C, Sunday sampler.
Fancy.
Yes, I can actually name them or go by the colors because they're also color coded.
Or letters. You can use letters. ABC.
Actually, then it gets a little bit complicated.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3. I should never sing, but especially not while I have a cold because I'm kind of nasally.
Oh, it's easy as ABC.
Maybe nasally works, though, for Kid Michael Jackson. I don't know. Anyways, moving on.
Back when Michael Jackson was black. What?
Yes, indeed. I watched, for some reason, last week, I watched his, I think it was 93 Super Bowl show. I don't know why. I just, I was like, I'll
back when the Super Bowl actually had good halftime shows?
I didn't like this Super Bowl halftime show very much from this year, but I think the Super Bowl has good halftime shows. Last year was really good.
Trying to remember who was last year.
It's Kesha. And
I couldn't tell you who that is if you held a gun to my head.
Some rapper.
Oh, so that's why I hated it.
I think Lenny Kravitz was last year too.
Yeah, but rap. I'm not a rap guy, so that's why I hated it.
I'm not a big rap guy either, but Kesha's not really rap. She does some rap, but anyways, I was gonna move us on to the news section because we've got several stories this week. We started with like 2, and now we're up to 5, I think.
Yeah, but a couple of these are going to be short, and some of them are going to be ranty, so
that's true.
It's going to be fun.
Right. So
and actually, we have 4.
Okay, we have 4. Let's start off with the shortest of all, though. Target Australia employs plain packaging for game.
Oh, this is on here just because it pissed me off.
Yeah, this is stupid.
And now we should say that this is a single Target in Australia that's doing this. It's not a company-wide thing.
Is it the same Target as the one that like pitched a fit about Grand Theft Auto and pulled
that was actually Kmart. They actually talk about that in this article. Kmart Australia banned Rockstar crime games because of social media outcry. Because here's the fun part: is that whole thing was because of virtual raping someone. No, I'm not joking. That's actually why they did that.
Yeah, I remember when that happened.
And they showed a video of the virtual rape. And they were talking about how it was indistinguishable from reality for the person. Okay. I'm going to make a statement here. If you can't tell that Grand Theft Auto isn't reality, you shouldn't be playing that fucking game.
I agree. I agree with your statement there.
But getting on to Target. Oh. They are treating R-rated games, or their equivalent of R-rated games, because Australia has this weird, essentially a censorship board. Up until just a couple of years ago, they didn't have an equivalent of an 18-plus display, or 18-plus rating. I'm sorry, I'm reading the article as well. They didn't have an equivalent of the 18-plus rating. So that's the reason why Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas actually had to change the name of some of the drugs in their games because their real world counterparts, the morphines and stuff, was pushing it over for the Australian censorship board. I'm just going to call them that. It's a censorship board. It's not. They're calling it a ratings board, but it's censorship.
Yeah, many games are censored in Australia.
Yeah, and Germany is the other bad one.
Game. Yeah, Germany's pretty rough too. But, so this one store of their own volition decided that they would change the covers of all 18 plus rated games to just plain covers. And there's a picture here in the article, and it's game cases that have had the artwork removed, and then a slip of paper that looks like they've printed off.
Yeah, it looks like they printed off. Literally just the name of the game and maybe the developer. It's a little hard to tell with this, just because it's a small picture. And it says to purchase. Okay, I blew it up a bit. It says, for example, to purchase Mortal Kombat X PS4 game, you must be 18 years or older. To purchase, I'm trying to make out some of these. It's a very pixelated thing. Wolfenstein, the Old Blood PS4 game, you must be 18 years or older. That sort of thing. Why are they treating video games like porn? Because that is literally the only other thing I could think of.
No, they're treating them worse than porn. Porn usually, like, if it's in more of a general store, just gets like a back corner. It's like, here's the porn. Like, I remember Blockbuster used to do that, like their videos that were NC-17 or older, and yes, Blockbuster used to carry a very tiny adult section, and they would just be like in the back corner of the store, and they like the section wouldn't really be labeled; they'd just be hanging out back there, and you could go back there and you could look at them.
But did they have just plain labels?
No, they had regular porn labels on them. I remember one time there was a covered display, but like you could just open the display case and look inside, and they were just normal porn covered DVDs.
Do not look at the porn behind the curtain.
There is no porn here.
Ooh, it just boggles my mind. that they're doing this. And I think I understand why. There's still this stigma with video games that it is for children, that it's a toy, it's a babysitter.
Right.
But you start looking at some of these games. I'm not going to talk about these games in particular, partly because it's a little hard to see exactly which ones, but it's pretty much the current things that are 18 plus at the recording of this podcast. But there are games out there that aren't rated 18 plus that are definitely not for children.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Or you start getting to the more story aspect of the games, and you start realizing that these are very deep stories that, you can't consider them just toys at that point. It just boggles my mind. And it's really the Puritans out there, the ones that think sex is evil, violence is evil, and they want to push their views onto other people that are doing stuff like this.
Right.
Yeah, and I use Puritan just as a general term. A lot of it I don't think is religiously motivated, which was what the Puritans were. But it's the perfect term for it. They want to push their vision of what society should be onto other people, whether you like it or not. You aren't allowed to have your Wolfenstein. You're not allowed to have your Mortal Kombat because it offends them. Because they didn't grow up in a household where if there was something bad on television, you turned the fucking channel.
Or just turn it off or not pay attention to it.
There's a screen cap of Bart Simpson talking about, I don't want to be a killjoy, but I don't think this thing should be on television in the first place. It's one of those situations where The Simpsons already done it. You already have your analog.
Right. So I just pulled up like some quick stats. I don't know how accurate these actually are, but it matches data that I've been reading for, the last few years. In the United States, the average player of games is 35 years old, with 62% of all gamers being 68% of all gamers being older than 18. So, I mean, these are not children's toys.
Well, a good chunk of those people, the average gamer, the 35-year-old, grew up with video games. They grew up with Mario. They grew up with Sonic. So it's, pretty common that, they would not think of these as toys for little children. It just, why would they do this for video games? And I'm willing to bet if you went to the video section, the R-rated movies wouldn't have plain covers.
Oh no, definitely not.
Because movies are an art form, and video games, they're just toys. Ugh. And if you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic there.
I can tell. I think our listeners are smart enough to be able to tell that too. Now, listeners, don't let me down. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's stupid.
Yeah,
that one target in Australia is stupid.
Yeah, it was more just pointing out the stupidity of this than anything else. And I really wish our Australian correspondent was here. Your uncle, we could have used you for this one.
Well, we'll probably bring this up on the episode that we actually managed to get him on with us. We'll talk about
because I imagine he probably
Australia.
has a lot of things to say about the Australian rating board. Being an older gamer, I think is a fair thing to say about your uncle.
He's about as old as I am. He's in his mid-20s.
Well, okay, I should say older than 18. and seeing just games censored because, it may offend the children.
I doubt he's offended.
Well, what if he's offended by the censorship? Then he's offended.
It's like meta offense. I'm offended by the fact that you're offended at a thing.
Then you dye your hair a shade of neon and complain about it on your Tumblr. What?
Oh, Tumblr.
There's only one site on Tumblr I go to, and that is the Kerbal Space Program website. And yes, they are on Tumblr.
Yeah, they post dev notes and stuff there, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I'd stay away from Tumblr because it's crazy town.
Oh, yeah. I very briefly considered creating a Tumblr one time, and then I thought better of myself.
Oh, you're not that crazy?
No, I'm not that crazy.
Speaking of crazy town, should we move on to our next topic?
Yes, we should. Lionhead Studios and Press Play have been closed down by Microsoft Studios.
And also, that means Fable Legends is gone, and Project Knoxville is gone as well.
Yep, they axed those.
Yeah, and weren't those, or at least Fable Legends, very late in development?
Yeah, Fable Legends has had showings at I think the last 2 E3s, and it's had, I believe, a closed beta. I know that there have been people who have played it, so it's been play tested, and everyone that had played it said that it was shaping up to be a good game. And really, the only thing was how well did it do its microtransaction store, because it was going to be a free-to-play title. So I don't know. I mean, has there been any new information released since the announcement?
I haven't seen anything as of late.
Let's do a quick Google search.
And don't forget to edit this out, because we've had complaints about this.
I'm better about editing it out. I don't think I've had one in the last couple episodes. Lionhead Studios closed. Looks like there's several articles detailing Lionhead Studios, and they're sad
nobody's caring about Press Play, unfortunately. It has to suck to be, you're going down, but you're going down next to Lionhead. So, nobody's going to care about you because, Lionhead was a fairly big studio.
Yeah, I mean, they're most known for the Fable series.
Yeah.
They've done other games in the past, but especially in recent history. I mean, Fable 1, 2, and 3 were all really good games. There's some contention on how good 2 and 3 were, but personally, I loved the Fable series. I thought they were all phenomenal games.
According to this, Fable Legends was going to be out first or second quarter of 2016, so it was very far along.
It was very close to being done. I'm wondering, I mean, they're saying that the project has been scrubbed, but I'm wondering if it'll resurface, maybe like as some kind of a purchase thing, like somebody buys the rights to it and then they...
Well, I imagine that Microsoft Studios still has the rights for it and most likely all the assets.
Yeah, that's true.
So they could just farm it out to another company.
I was going to say, I can't imagine them not releasing a game that close to completion. The only company that I'm aware of that has a history of just axing games that are fairly far along in development is Blizzard.
Yeah,
and they've killed
Blizzard
multiple games. They've killed multiple games really late in their development cycle. Most studios at least will release what they have if they're that far along.
Yeah, and Blizzard will burn a ton of money on a game and just axe it. Titan was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, Blizzard's had several projects that they've done that with. Warhammer Ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
Got canceled last minute after it had like an E3 showing and a demo and all kinds of stuff.
Wasn't that StarCraft Ghosts, you mean?
Yeah, StarCraft Ghosts. Sorry.
I think Warhammer. Where was Warhammer?
Sorry. And then, Project Titan was canceled. And they had another project that got canceled real recently that wasn't Titan. I don't know exactly which one it was, but they've done several that way. That they'll be 2 or 3 years in a development cycle and then just go, "Yep, this game wasn't becoming what we wanted it to be, so we're just gonna axe it." Although Blizzard has got more money than God, so it's in their best interest to only release quality products. They have the money, the budget to these games that if they get a couple failures, they're okay. But no, so these stories that I pulled up on Google are basically just quoting the original Microsoft press release and then going into detail a little bit about what Lionhead Studios was.
Yeah, which honestly, I don't think you really need to go that much into detail on Lionhead Studios if you've been a gamer for more than a few years.
Yeah. Now, on the other hand...
I haven't played the Fable series that much, and I still know Lionhead mostly from their earlier works. Do you think the the whole Peter Molyneux thing years and years ago with him just dragging Lionhead Studios down. I hate to use that term, but bringing up a lot of hype around their earlier games, around Black and White, and all the way up to the early Fable games, actually, where he would just overhype the games, and then they come out and just all the hype crashes the game's announcement. And do you think that hurt them in the long run?
I don't think so. I think if you go and look at it with some hindsight, you're kind of biased because of what's happened to Peter Molyneux.
Oh, yeah.
But at the time, he just got away with it because everyone would go, "Oh, Peter Molyneux, you're just being a little, overzealous, and
but
your games are still good."
Yeah, but the thing is that, once again, we're talking about the enthusiast at this point and not the average gamer who may hear, Peter Molyneux talking about how you could plant a tree and watch it grow throughout the course of the game. That sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Peter Molyneux traded on goodwill for a long time from, Black and White and even the original Fable. Like, even though Fable wasn't what he promised, it was a game that was ahead of its time in a lot of ways with the amount of freedoms that didn't really exist in RPGs at the time. And
yeah,
it was a technical marvel at its time.
I think I never really got into Fable just because I didn't play the first one right away. And when it was announced that Fable 2 wasn't coming to PC, I had no interest in getting a console for it. It's like, well, fuck you too.
Yeah, I loved the original Fable. I've probably played through the original Fable, oh gosh, I don't know, a dozen or more times, just like exploring out all the choices and doing all the different things you could do and building different character types. Fable 2 I've played through a few times, not as many. There's 3 distinct endings in Fable 2. I've played through it 3 times.
Which color do you like?
They're actually very different. It's not like that.
Yeah, but whenever you hear you have 3 different endings now, you have to go to which color do you like?
Yeah, that's true. But no, they were actually 3 very different endings. And then Fable 3, I only played through it 1 time because the mechanic at the end of the game is extremely tedious. The final mechanic just turns into a grind because basically it becomes, do you have enough money to prop up your country's war effort against, the invading enemy? And that's what the whole end of the game comes down to. And so basically you spend the last bit of the game
I'm pretty
grinding.
sure I remember Zero Punctuation talking about that, and you know how Yahtzee gets.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. The game was great up until that point, and then it just turns into a grind to acquire money. So I've only played through Fable 3 once. Also, Fable 3, I was in college when that game came out, and so I had a lot less time to play. But, they were great games, and even up until Fable 3, Fable 3, I think, was when Molyneux really exhausted his goodwill, because Fable 3 released in a pretty crappy state. There were several bits of game design that didn't make any sense, and then it was the buggiest of the 3 Fable games. So that was kind of the last of his goodwill.
Did they ever patch that?
I don't know. During the time that I played it, they patched some of the bugs, like some of the worst ones, but it still had the really stupid mechanics. Like, particularly the worst one is whenever you're playing in co-op, whenever one person goes to their menu, which was this weird, castle room that you would teleport to, no matter where the other person was, no matter what they were doing, it would automatically teleport them to your little castle room. Every time you open the options menu.
Ugh.
Every single time.
I went to their I went to Lionhead Studios' Twitter page, and there's absolutely nothing mentioning that they're shutting down. It's their last tweet was March 4th. This is going to be a marvelous day out for us Lions. Who's planning on joining us next weekend? Oh man.
I suspect that Microsoft just
that is sudden. If they were talking about going to innovate G4, or is that? I'm sorry. I'm looking at the tweet trying to figure out exactly what is here. It looks like some sort of free event that was supposed to be going on March 12th. I guess they're not going now, are they?
Probably not.
Oh, wow.
We also don't know how long they're going to take to close them down, because I don't
Yeah.
think it said, like, effective immediately they were shut down.
Yeah,
They'll
true.
probably
But,
wind
yeah,
down.
true. But would you be going to an event to show off your now canceled game?
Yeah, fair point. You make a good point there, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was
We'll
mostly
see.
going to Lionhead Studios' Wikipedia page just to see. They have a long list of actually canceled games as well. Almost as long as their released games, to be perfectly frank. And maybe that's part of the reason why they shut down, is that it just wasn't, they weren't as profitable as they should be.
Right.
And
Well,
something
and we
else
don't
that
know.
shocked me is that Fable Anniversary is still $35 on Steam.
Yeah. Hopefully, well, that's an awful thing to say. I'm going to go ahead and say it anyways, but I feel bad now having this thought. Hopefully, with the studio closing, they'll have like a big sale on the games, and then I can pick up Fable on Steam. I feel awful for having
have
that
the
thought.
THQ style fire sale.
Yeah. But let's take a minute to talk about Press Play.
Yeah, Press Play was the one that everyone's kind of overlooking, and they were a very small studio, weren't they?
Yeah, they were really small, making indie style.
Yeah, I have
indie
one of their
games.
games, Max and the Magic Marker.
Isn't that Max the Curse of Brotherhood? Or is Max and the Magic Marker a different one?
Max and the Magic Marker, I think, was the prequel to that.
Okay. I have not played that one then, if that's the case. I've played Max and the Curse of Brotherhood.
Yeah,
that was actually a really good game.
Double check. No, Max and the Magic Marker is the one I played. It's it's your typical indie platformer, but I think, have you ever played Crayon Physics, where you're drawing to do physical puzzles essentially?
Yeah, Max and the Curse of Brotherhood had that too.
Yeah, Max and Magic Marker is essentially a typical indie platformer with Crayon Physics mixed in.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bad game. I didn't play it all the way through, but it wasn't a bad one.
I actually really enjoyed the Curse of Brotherhood. And for a game that was aimed at kids, because I felt like Curse of Brotherhood was very squarely a game aimed at
it looks
children.
like I'm looking at Max and the Curse of the Brotherhood now. It looks like it's a lot higher production quality. Their first one, Max and the Magic Marker, was very 2D platformer.
Yeah, this was a 3D game on a 2D plane, and it was a platformer. But I mean, it was just a really fun game that had some stuff that I thought was a little too scary in it for kids. It was actually a game I reviewed back in the day, and it was one of the final games I reviewed before I left Stick Down. But
yeah, they have 3 games on Steam actually.
What are their games on Steam?
Max and the Magic Marker, Max and the Curse of Brotherhood, and Kimbla.
Kalimba?
Yeah, it's a jump and switch and fly your way through mind-bending subterranean puzzles in this stunning new platforming adventure.
I haven't heard of that one before. I wonder if that was a newer game.
Yeah, this is I think their last release game. They had one that was shut down, Project Knoxville. This came out in April 22nd, 2015.
It's an interesting game. I just pulled up their actual website. It's a strange art style, but hey, whatever works.
Yeah, the trick on this, I saw a little bit of gameplay footage, just people linking to their old games.
Yeah.
This one, you're playing multiple pieces of a totem pole, essentially, and you're able to split off and do puzzles like that.
Yeah, they got like a little puzzle on the webpage where it's like one piece throws the other one up, and it hits something and like causes a wall or a door to open, and then they like walk through together. So that's pretty neat. I like stuff like that in puzzle games, controlling multiple elements of things at the same time. But I mean, Press Play, what I was getting at, made some good games too, and it's sad that they're getting completely skipped over in this.
Yeah, very. Everyone caught up on. Well, we'll have to admit that Lionhead Studios' games were a lot more high profile. Black and White, Fable, the movies is actually probably the one everyone forgets about that was really good.
Yeah. I'm
And
I'm
that's
guessing
actually
that.
pretty much Lionhead's lineup is the Fable series, the Black and White series, and the movies.
Yeah.
Uh, unless you start dipping into their canceled games, which is more Black and White. A game named BC that was on the original Xbox, or originally it was going to be, that they canceled. That was let's call a spade. It was basically Far Cry Primal before Far Cry Primal.
Yeah.
Another Black and White game that was canceled, which I don't know why they would cancel Black and White because that was very very popular at the time. Uh, Milo and Cade, do you remember the Kinect demo?
No, I don't think I do.
This was essentially a Molyneux going apeshit with the Microsoft Kinect.
Oh, I just pulled it up on Wikipedia. I remember this now.
Yeah, it was going to be some sort of life simulation.
Yeah, with like interactive family and stuff that you could actually like. You're supposed to be able to talk to with them and whatnot, but I don't think it got past the conceptual stage.
It was mostly a tech demo for the Kinect. If it was going to be more than that, it never got far past that. It was an interesting idea. That's the thing, is that Molyneux has interesting ideas. The problem is that he puts them all out there, and then people get pissed off when they don't show up in the final product.
Right.
And rightfully so, because we're going to be getting onto that a little bit later. Teasing.
Yes. Tease it out. Overall, I'm really sad to see.
Yeah, it's always tough to see studios, especially ones with storied histories like Lionhead, even though, once again, we're skipping over Press Play. Press Play did have good games as well.
I think the thing about Lionhead was not only are they bigger and more well known, but like me personally, Lionhead made up actually a pretty decent chunk of my childhood. I mean, I adored Black and White. I adored the Fable series. And I played these games over a number of years. And for me, this is probably the first big studio that's closing that has an actual emotional impact on me. It makes me really sad.
For me, it was Maxis.
Yeah. I was sad to see Maxis go too, but not the same.
I should scratch that. It was Bullfrog, now that I think about it.
I was sad when Westwood went too. The Command and Conquer series was a pretty big part of my childhood as well, but I don't know, this one just hits me more in the feels. And I'm not sure why that is. I just
You didn't sign up for this field trip?
Yeah, I didn't sign up for this field trip.
Well, sorry, but you don't need a permission slip for
it. Just need to have a working heart.
Even if it is just a ball of cynicism and salt.
Well, this is kind of peeling back some of those layers. And I'm sad to see Press Play go as well. They had games, but they're a more recent studio with a much smaller game history. So, I mean, it's not that their loss is any less. A successful studio that makes good games is becoming harder and harder to come by today.
Or ones that have multiple successes.
Yeah. It's just that Lionhead going hits me, on a more deep emotional level. It makes me sad.
Yeah, and it's also the history of Molyneux and everyone looking back at that.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
I hope that all the talented people that work there are able to find jobs of some kind.
Supposedly Microsoft Studio is going to try to help them there, or, absorb them into other sub-departments. And this is actually part of the reason why I'm always leery when I hear, a small developer that I like get absorbed by one of these omnipresent groups. EA is probably the worst about it, though, just taking beloved studios either that don't fit their corporate structure or just gutting them for their IP and then shooting them in the head.
Yeah. I really hope Microsoft does do something, but to be honest, I don't expect them to. Like, I want them to help, but I'm not convinced that they will. I hope all the talented people are able to bounce back from this and move forward with other projects. And I hope that Fable Legends gets released sometime in the near future. I hope that instead of the game just being canceled for good, that it gets farmed out to another studio or Microsoft takes it on directly. because the game was pretty close to completion. Like I said earlier, it had been in 2 E3s. It had playable demos for people to press.
And it was due to be released within like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, we probably would have been getting like open beta news right around the corner if
it wasn't shut down, of course.
Closing. Yeah, so I'm hoping that they do something with it.
Yeah, if there was a reason for this, I'm assuming that it was some sort of huge problem with the game systems that they just couldn't rectify without redoing the entire thing. But even then, why shut down the studio? That makes no sense to me. There's something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about yet.
Absolutely. My first thought is money. I mean, that's always one of the big corporate things. Like, the studios weren't making enough money, and so they had to shut them down. Kind of a cut your losses situation. Which makes me sad, but that's if Lionhead is losing money, then it's most likely due to the Molyneux legacy tarnishing the company. Because, I mean, they've always done good work.
Yeah, it's hard to get out of Molyneux's shadow, especially the whole thing recently with Goddess, where he's had a year-long media blackout that actually made things worse.
Yeah, somehow.
Goddess is also such a mess. I'm gonna make a prediction that within, let's say, 4 years, 22 is it 22 cans or is it another number? Or
it's 22 cans. Okay, that's 22 his cans. Development I think 22 studio.
Cans is probably going to go down unless they have something else they're working on, because Goddess is not going to sustain them, at least on PC. Maybe the mobile version will be a lot more successful,
right?
But the PC version, they burned all their goodwill with Goddess. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Probably.
And I am including the whole spin-off combination game, whatever the hell they're doing with. Now I'm blanking on the name of it. It's Goddess
Wars?
Goddess Wars, yeah. Where they finally get that poor sucker from the Curiosity Cube into the game. So he can get like $5 at this point.
Yeah. Poor kid. So, I just kind of gave my big spiel about Lionhead and Press Play. Do you have any final thoughts to add?
I'm pretty much in the same boat that I won't say that it's my childhood, but it was a lot of my early PC gaming.
Right.
And that them leaving like this, just being completely axed, seemingly out of nowhere, if their Twitter account has anything to go by. It just doesn't show them respect that they deserve. Well, okay, maybe deserved is not the proper term, but their storied history, just to be axed out of the blue.
Yeah, I think they earned a little bit more than that.
Yeah. The fact that they were talking about going to a press event this weekend. Oh, wow.
Right.
This came out of nowhere for them. They didn't know this was coming, or at least the person that was running the Twitter account didn't know it. And that's usually the person that knows the most about upcoming events.
Usually it's some kind of PR person or events community coordinator.
Or Bob the intern.
Bob the intern. So, our next topic then?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. How Steam key reselling is killing the little guys. So, in case you're not aware, there are websites out there that will sell you Steam keys.
Unauthorized third person or third party sellers is the technical term for it.
Right. I was going to get to that in a minute. But they sell you what they're called gray market keys, and they sell them to you at pretty big discounts. Like, for example, you can get a game 50% off on release, like a AAA title. Like, The Division, which, more teasing there. But, you can get AAA titles for half off. Now, they're called gray market keys because they are purchased more often than not from overseas sellers, where that the exchange rate makes it profitable to purchase a game key and then turn around and resell it in US dollars.
Yeah, different regions of the world, based on their income, has different prices for their games. Matter of fact, just very recently, Steam, or someone at least at Steam, axed the Region 2 in Europe, which raised the price of games for a good chunk of Eastern Europe. I'm not sure if you knew about that or not.
I did not know about that, actually.
But typically it was things like Region 2 in Europe. The Asian markets were very big about this.
A lot of South American markets as well.
Yeah, South America. Basically, third world is probably not the proper term for it, but the less
developed countries.
They would buy just boatloads of copies of a game there and take the keys. Usually this would be the physical versions of the games that came with the Steam keys, or they would just go through sites like Indie Game Stand, which is where this article comes from, and buy games there at either as low as possible or use fraudulent means to do so. Stolen credit cards, contest the charges later so they get the money back, but still have the key that they could sell, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And
so that's kind of adding injury to insult.
Yeah, and Indie Game Stand was talking about how they lost $30,000 in fraudulent charges in their lifetime, which Indie Game Stand is not a huge site. And a lot of the games that they sell, they're I should say that, go into what Indie Game Stand is. They do have a store page that has a good chunk of games on it, but they are also primarily a single day, big discount, pay what you want game site, where you put down $1 and you get like No Moria, which is where I got that game, or very cheap, limited sales. And paying $1, then taking away the $1 and still keeping the key, that's a dick move. And the fact that they lost nearly $31,000 through that, when it's usually their daily deals that it seems to be the cause of it, that's a lot of transactions.
Yeah, I mean, if people just played $1 per transaction, it would be over 30,000 transactions.
Yeah, to the point that they actually
it's more than $30,000.
Measures where they limited how much you had to spend to get a Steam key, and hurt the average consumer by bring up the price.
Right. So there's a lot of sites that you can get these fraudulent keys on, and I'm not going to list them.
Yeah.
I mean, you could quickly Google a bunch of them. Some are more reputable than others, but
yeah, but there was stories where Ubisoft pulled, what was it, 40-some thousand keys for one of their Far Cry games, I believe it was. It should be listed in this article. Oh yeah, Ubisoft kills copies of Far Cry 4. Basically, they stole a truckload of these keys and was reselling them. And Ubisoft killed the keys. Other articles of references just on this site. Let's see, there's the 30, it doesn't give a number, but it was just a load of Far Cry 4 keys. Over 1,300 Natural Selection 2 keys stolen and cost the developer $30,000 in fees. 30,000 Blackwell Deception keys revoked after giveaway exploit. Oh, that's another thing. Is that another source of these keys? Is actually people pretending to be big YouTubers and asking for a bunch of keys to give away.
Oh yeah, I've seen that before too.
A matter of fact, to the point where if you're asking for a review copy of a game now and you're not a major YouTuber, you have to actually submit to them a proof that you're a YouTuber, because this has gotten so commonplace that the scam has happened. Or you go through a third-party system to prove that you're actually in control of that website. It's ridiculous. And just ends up hurting YouTubers in the long run.
Honestly, this hurts everybody.
Yeah, this hurts everyone, I should say. no one comes out a winner except for the people that are selling these keys in the first place.
Yeah, I think honestly this is worse than piracy.
Definitely.
If you pirate something, however you stand on the piracy debate, if you pirate something, no money is being exchanged by anybody. No one is winding up with, fees from chargebacks and stuff like that on their accounts. Nobody is out a game. Like, whenever these happen, developers take the keys away, and then consumers are out their game.
That's assuming that they can take the keys away. There's places, or there's times that they can't take the keys away, so it's literally a lost sale.
That's true. But so it's bad for developers of all kinds, indie or small developers in particular, because they can't just absorb a $30,000 loss, for example. Whereas a larger AAA developer could. It still sucks that they lost that money this way, but AAA developer could absorb it. It sucks for the service that is having the games provided to them. Like, it's costing them bandwidth. It's costing them money.
A lot of these are Steam keys, so it's costing Valve money.
Right? It sucks for the consumers because if you're an uneducated consumer or...
Yeah, let's go back to our idea of the average consumer. Someone that isn't the enthusiast, that looked for how to get, let's say, the Division cheaply. So, since we're going to be kicking the Division in a little bit, we may as well use that as the example.
Right.
They look up how to get a copy of the Division cheaply and come across one of these gray market sites. Or even, here's the annoying thing, is that a lot of pro gamers or these big gaming events will actually sign deals with these third-party developers. These third-party key sellers, not developers. They're not developing anything except my ire. I remember there was a event. It was basically a battle royale in DayZ. This was years and years ago. If I really cared about it, I would hunt down the VOD, but then you would see who it was. That was hosted by or sponsored by one of these third-party key sellers, and they pushed it big time. And the ad that they had for it made it seem so scummy that it makes me wonder how anybody would buy from these. It was literally a guy in a trench coat, and he'd open up the trench coat, and there'd be, all the games. It made it look like he was trying to sell knockoff Rolexes.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that was the ad that they provided. But it was the perfect analogy for what these third-party sellers are. They are the guys with fake Rolexes, faux leather wallets that they're trying to sell at leather wallet prices, that sort of thing. They have the knockoff Gucci handbags, and they're trying to make a profit at others' expense.
Right, and that's just a shitty thing in general.
And it pisses me off that they're enabled so much. And I completely understand why the average, I don't want to call them stupid consumer, but the uninformed consumer are buying from these guys until they get burned, is that they're looking for a game that's a good deal. And they see 50% off or more from these third-party sites. Or you go to like GOG or Green Man Gaming, and at best you'll get 20% off on launch. I completely understand why they're going here, is just because gaming is a very expensive hobby.
Yeah.
Especially if you're hopping between a lot of AAA games at a time. Or, you have friends that are encouraging you to get multiple games in a year.
Yeah.
Or multiple big games, I should say. Multiple AAA games. You get your Call of Duty in November. You get The Division in March. You get your Far Cry, your Assassin's Creed. You get your Madden, that sort of thing. Okay, Madden's a bad example because it's not on PC, but you get your yearly sports game. You get your yearly shooter, and it adds up. So people that can't afford that are looking for a way to afford it. And these sites offer that service at the price of the developer, costing them literally costing them money.
Yeah, is there a solution to it? Like,
Education.
I suppose an educated consumer.
Education, and also have it where these events people aren't signing on to promote these guys. Which that's the tougher thing, is that these sites are very often used by smaller YouTubers and smaller events, smaller pro gamers, the lower bracket of the pro gamers, as a way to get extra money to try to, live their dream of just covering video games for a living.
I don't fault those people for wanting to do that, but there's other ad and sponsorship routes and things like that.
Once again, it comes down to just, are you willing to destroy what you love? Because that is literally what these are doing. If you love the small indie scene, this is a cancer to it. People talked about used games being killing the indie scene or hurting big developers. This is the PC equivalent of that. And I'm not 100% convinced that the used game scene is nearly as destructive as this, just because of DLC. And you could make that same excuse here, but if someone is buying these third-party copies, I'm willing to say that they're probably not going to buy DLC through it, or through normal channels. They'll probably buy through the same companies, and you can't do that with a used copy. Hello?
Did you say can you, or did you say can't? Say that again.
I was saying that I'm not sure if you can buy DLC through these companies, but if you can, I would imagine that they would go back there and once again cost the developer money.
I know there's certain DLCs that you can get through them, like the bigger DLCs. I've seen those before on a couple of these sites. Because this has been talked about several times before in the past. Every once in a while, I suppose a scandal is the best way to say it, will roll around, and all this gets brought up again. I've seen DLCs on a couple of those sites, but not all of them. So
I'm trying to bring it around and equate it to essentially the version of this on consoles, which is the used game market, which isn't nearly as bad in my opinion. Just because it isn't actively hurting developers. You're still getting that initial sale, unless it's literally a stolen copy, which then it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an idea really of how to solve it. Consumer education would go a long way.
Yeah, but the thing is that's pushing more into the enthusiast level.
Right, yeah. I think that not using them for events would be a good start, at least, because
I wouldn't kill them completely. The only way that you would be able to stop this would be literally taking them off Google, and that's not the answer. And I hesitate to say that Google should police this, because once you open that door, Google could police literally anything. And not to say that they don't already police stuff. It's just something I'm hesitant to call censorship for.
Yeah.
Censorship isn't the answer. I mean, we literally just talked about censorship earlier. And using the same hammer to knock down these guys isn't the answer either.
Yeah. And there are more reputable versions of these types of sites, and it's like, where do you draw the line? Like, when is the risk too much? And I don't know if I'm comfortable with Google deciding that for me. And again, it goes back to educating consumers, which is difficult to do because, your enthusiasts are the more likely ones to be educated on the topic.
And also, let's be honest, that games media kind of sucks.
Yeah, they kind of suck for the most part.
And a lot of times, people look at games media as a joke. So if there's a big piece on talking about why you shouldn't be buying from these sites, it's almost an ad for them more than anything else.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it that I hadn't thought about, but I don't know.
It's a very difficult problem, which I'm not convinced that there is a solution for.
Here's our second commandment. The Video Game Logic first commandment is don't pre-order video games.
Yeah, we have a good reason why coming up.
The video game logic second commandment is don't purchase games from gray market websites.
I think I could agree with that.
I mean, I definitely agree with it. I'm the one who thought it up. But this is another situation where there's no good solution other than just don't do it. And there's no way, I'm not delusional, there's no way we can reach every single consumer and tell them not to do it and explain to them why. Because again, consumer education, difficult to, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I'd like to think that that the non-enthusiast crowd, gaming is very social. So yeah. I'd like to think that in those groups, there's at least the one enthusiast that would go, you shouldn't buy here, and give them the reason. That's hurting the developers, that you have a good chance of getting ripped off.
Do that, gaming enthusiasts that listen to us. Go tell all of your friends, don't buy third-party gray market keys. And then give them the list of commandments and tell them that we decreed it with a thou shalt not.
Yeah, and if they pre-order, just take the receipt and rub their nose in it.
So, rubbing nose in things, I think we're ready to move on.
I think so.
Let's discuss how The Division shot the bed when it came out, shall we? Let's rub its nose in it.
Well, in what way? Because I'm looking at least 4 of them.
I want to go with mine first, because it's a shorter one. And then we can just go down the list.
Which I found a 4th one, and I didn't put on the list yet.
Actually, let's just go down the list. Let's start with 30 days exclusivity.
Oh, here's the fun thing about pre-ordering games. You have no idea what you're going to get. In this case, if you bought the season pass blind and pre-ordered the game, and you're not on an Xbox One, you get to wait 30 whole days for that DLC to unlock on your platform. They signed an exclusivity deal that didn't come out until, what was it, today?
Yeah, today.
That post-launch content exclusive on Xbox One for 30 days.
Was this just a blanket 30 days, or is it 30 days on every piece of content?
This is 30 days on at least the first 2 expansions, Underground and Survival.
Sweet.
Which is part of the season pass. I shouldn't say season pass, but exclusivity deals like this, I understand why they exist. That Microsoft probably forked over a lot of money to get this deal that helped the development of the Division. But you're, creating a division.
I can see the point behind certain exclusive things, like exclusive game titles.
Yeah, I can see why, Bayonetta 2 doesn't come out on other consoles, is that Nintendo forked over the money for it.
Right. But
that game would literally not exist without Nintendo. It sucks that it doesn't come out to other places, but I understand it. But DLC exclusivity deals, they are so scummy.
Particularly a timed exclusive deal. What's the point, to be honest? How many people are you actually going to entice to buy your console or to buy the game on your console for that extra 30 days? I would just wait. I'm going to have to wait. Eventually, I will pick this game up on PC. In probably a year, when all of this stuff is out and there's a Game of the Year edition or something like that.
And the player base has moved on.
Yeah. I don't want the player base anyways. I just care about it for the single player content. Genuinely, I only care about the single player content. So I don't really care about the player base leaving. But, I'm just going to wait. I don't know anybody that plays games that for a 30-day, exclusivity is I'm gonna go get it for Xbox. It's gonna be so rad to get all that stuff 30 days before everyone else.
Yeah, this is really the only people that this would actually change their choice on is people that own both consoles already. Let's be perfectly frank here.
Yeah, I don't think you're selling any consoles at all off of the 30-day exclusivity.
I would say that you're probably hurting yourself in the long run because this would probably piss off a few people.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. If I was going to buy it for Xbox, I probably would be like, oh, that's neat, and then just like move on. Like if I was your average consumer, I'd be like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Getting it a little early.
Yeah, which I'm looking at the comments for this, and it's bickering back and forth. It's this is also a jab back at PS4 for Destiny. Fine by me. Yeah, trying to basically say, well, you did it to us for this game, so we're going to do it to you for this game is not the way to handle this. Because down the road, you're going to get screwed over once again by the next game because Sony paid up or Ubisoft didn't get enough money, so they decided to do it on PC. That's a fantasy land. That's never going to happen.
You are correct in that assumption.
It's going to be one console or the other.
Yeah.
And saying, it's happening to my console. I'm getting it 30 days before you. That's not helping.
No.
You should be pissed off even if it's helping you. Because in the long run, these deals are going to hurt you one way or the other.
Yeah. Exclusivity deals are bad for everyone all the way around. You know,
Or aside from exclusivity like this.
Yeah.
For example, Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's out for PC and it's out for Xbox One. It doesn't come out for the PS4 until the end of the year because of a time exclusivity deal.
Right.
And I'm still betting that they're going to say that they had below expectations on their sales because of this.
And it's their own fault. But they'll blame everyone else.
Ugh.
They'll blame the consumers for not buying enough games. And it's like, well, don't be a crappy developer and just release your game.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
If we're done with this one, I am going to throw in that. Oh, guess what? It had server issues as well.
Sure, go ahead. Pitch in the server issues.
Well, it's not really an article. It's just the fact that the game had server issues. But then again, what AAA game doesn't have server issues on launch these days?
I'm thinking, and I'm drawing a blank.
Pretty much anything that has multiplayer, it's going to have server issues on launch, and it's ridiculous. I don't get why people are buying on launch and then complaining about the lack of servers.
Because people are impatient and silly.
Yeah, it's just, once again, the uninformed consumer, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that
education would solve so many problems with gaming.
Education solves a lot of problems in general, not just gaming.
Yeah, should have said education would solve so many problems, but also a little bit of self-control.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of self-control would be great for gamers. Yeah, don't buy that until the reviews come out. Definitely don't pre-order that.
Yeah, well, the Division didn't even have review code at all.
No, the Division wasn't going to be reviewed until after the release. They didn't send out any codes. Which, slight side topic, I don't like that. I would rather have a review that's slightly inaccurate because of any last-minute changes that comes out pre-release, as opposed to waiting post-release for a review that is 100% accurate based on the launch conditions. I think it's more important to the consumer to have the earlier information than it is to wait for the 100% accurate information. And I always take everything that reviews say with a grain of salt anyways. Like, if they're like, yeah, the server access was great, I'm like, yeah, I'll see that one for myself. So the next Division problem was a while back, and I have praised them for this a couple of times. The Division said that they were going to have multiple graphic options on the console version, and they were just presets, but that would let you go between, high
cinematic
fidelity,
and non-cinematic.
Yeah, cinematic and playable. Well, they didn't do that. They took them out. Now, Ubisoft has not said anything yet, so there's speculation that either it's a broken feature that will get patched in later, versus it hasn't been included at all. But regardless of whatever the issue is, they have been praised by multiple people for that decision, giving gamers choices on their console.
Well, now they're getting smacked on the hand.
Took that choice away. Yeah. They're going to get a smack on a hand. And this was the thing that initially prompted us to do this, because I was thinking of news articles, and I saw this one a couple of days ago, and I was so excited, and then we kind of just branched off on all the problems that the Division has had at launch. But There's nothing really else to say about that except they just screwed it up and it's not in the game. And that was one of the best features about the Division.
It's possibly a molecule issue where they were talking about something that they were thinking about doing, and then just decided not to, or it proved to be too cumbersome, or who knows? It may have scared console people to have a choice.
Tested badly with focus groups, giving them choices resulted in brain dead, comatose states.
They were confused and put down the controller and walked away. But speaking of not walking away, breaking off of the list for a moment.
Okay.
Sub thing on this same article: jerks are blocking progress in the Division by standing in door frames.
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures about that. The online portions. I saw several tweets where people are mad. It's like all of these people are blocking where I have to go. They're calling it queue simulator or line simulator, depending on whether the person is.
No, American, that's a completely different issue English. As well. Is that the way that they hand out missions can only be done one at a time? So get this just massive people at mission sites.
Yeah, awful, bad game design right there.
What the hell were they thinking?
They weren't. That's my answer. They weren't thinking it through properly.
Did they think that there was only going to be 3 people? Well, I mean, granted, in a few weeks, there may only be 3 people.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ubisoft didn't look past their own noses on their face to figure out what they were going to do. Like, oh yeah, we'll just release it. People will buy it. We'll use lots of buzzwords and create a whole bunch of hype. People will buy it.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem is that buzzwords are what sells games these days.
Unfortunately. So the last one is Ubisoft lied about microtransactions. Now, I was completely unaware of this.
Well, this also depends on how you categorize microtransactions as well.
You were saying that they were using a lot of kind of micro DLCs.
Yeah, it's right now on day, well, I guess 2 or 3 now at this point. There are 2 packs of cosmetic DLC for $5 a pop on top of the season pass. And how is that not a microtransaction again?
And it's right at launch too. Good job, guys, with that.
And this is, if you look at the tweet, which will be in the show notes, all the comments are Microsoft reiterates that the Division won't have microtransactions. I miss the days where you had to earn and not buy cosmetic items in games. Already, this game has been released hours ago. And it goes on and on and on.
Those are good and appropriate tweets. Like, surprised that they're doing this.
Cosmetic DLC packs, formerly known as microtransactions.
It's all in the wording.
And once again, it comes down to buzzwords.
Yep. I was really excited about The Division. It was one of my top 5 games of the year that I was most excited for that were coming. Every game I've picked so far, except for XCOM, has been disappointing. And The Division did not disappoint being disappointing.
I'm going to turn you into a ball of cynicism and salt yet.
Oh, yes, you are. You know what? I had no intention of pre-ordering. Obviously, the first commandment of video game logic is thou shalt not pre-order. So I wasn't pre-ordering. But I did want to buy it when the reviews came out. Like, I was hoping that it was going to get mostly positive reviews. But there's, problems and lies and things that are missing. Because I considered purchasing this on my Xbox just to have as like a chill game that I could hang out on the couch and play. And it's just like, at every turn, I don't want this game anymore. Eventually I'll buy it, like I said, when it's, Game of the Year edition.
Have you looked at the
sale
reviews
or
on
something.
Steam?
No, I have not yet.
Oh, I think you're in for a treat.
Let's very quickly head over to Steam and check out The Division.
What do you think the percentage is?
Oh,
I will tell you how many people have reviewed it so far. 5,257.
I'm going to guess 18% positive. Oh, mixed. So it's closer to 50%.
Yeah.
Still, negative.
Yeah. Look at It's 57%, by the way. But look at the top rated comments. It is.
I like this one. Downgrading graphics and damage modeling. Check. Uplay. Check. AI as smart as a dying trout. Check. Loading NPCs. Check. Runs as smooth as 80 grit sandpaper on a 980 Ti. Check. Shoot Alex. Check. Everyone's a doppelganger. Check. Subpar story. Check. Decent weapon modeling. Check. Killed a boss. Here's a cool hat. I love that.
It's TF2. Yeah, when I saw gameplay for this, I was worried about how bullet spongy the NPCs were.
Yeah, which it turns out they're very bullet spongy. Like, that has been a comment that's been made several times.
Yeah, I decided not to try out the beta, or I should say marketing demo.
Right.
And it looks like I didn't miss much.
Nope. Like I said, I'm sad, but this wasn't 100% unexpected. Ubisoft has a track record of screwing stuff up.
Yeah, did you see about the attempted hostile takeover of Ubisoft?
No.
Edit this out because I'm looking it up.
No,
there was an attempted hostile takeover by Vivendi for Ubisoft. This was a week or two ago, actually.
Huh. What was the gist of it that went down?
Basically, Vivendi was buying up a ton of shares to try to just hostilely get the majority to be able to take control of Ubisoft.
Well, that's one way to do it, I suppose. Full-blown corporate takedown.
Yeah, really. And I hate saying this, but Ubisoft being taken down or having a change of management, not sure if that's a bad thing.
Probably not a bad thing, honestly.
I hate saying that because it would cost a lot of people jobs, but Ubisoft is one of these companies that gets it wrong over and over and over again. The only games that I've seen lately that has gotten pretty much universal acclaim is their more indie-style games. Anything big budget from them has had server issues, have had crashing issues, has had textures just not appear, so you have eyeballs and Joker-like grins floating in midair.
Those are pretty funny, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's not funny if you're a paying customer.
Yeah, very true.
I'm trying to think of when the last time Ubisoft had a major release that didn't have some sort of clusterfuck going on around it, and I can't think of one. Not counting the indie releases or indie style releases.
The original Far Cry, I think, it's the only Far Cry game that actually ran properly when they launched it. I'm drawing a blank on anything else, though, particularly more recent, because the original Far Cry came out in the early 2000s.
Yeah, 2004.
So, I don't know. Maybe they've had another one. It really tells
you just how much down the drain Ubisoft has gotten. And I'm really shocked that there's 81,000 people playing. And this is just on Steam, by the way.
I mean, The Division was a big release. It was, it's been hyped.
It's going to be interesting to see in the coming months how that population stabilizes. If it's going to pull and evolve and go from like 80,000 to 3. Not 3,000. I'm talking about 3 people.
I'm thinking that it'll stay pretty stable on consoles. Again, there's a lot less competition, et cetera, et cetera. We've had that conversation many times before.
On consoles, it's literally this or Destiny. That's it for this style of shooter. Maybe if you try to extend the genre a bit, you get things like Warframe. But that's not quite the same style.
Right. I don't know. I like having a game to poke fun at, but like I said, I was looking forward to The Division, and I'm annoyed that it was disappointing. But to be honest, can't put anything past Ubisoft. They'll fuck up anything. Bye-bye.
Speaking of games to poke fun at, let's see what Evolve's player numbers are right now.
What is Evolve's player numbers, Rach?
Well, at the moment, but then again, it is 1 o'clock in the morning. It has 113 players.
Nice.
And a 24-hour peak of 311 players. So it reverses numbers.
Wow, so many players.
I'm sure all that
Poor
DLC
Valve.
really helps, though.
Oh, yeah. There's enough DLC that maybe it can form a consciousness and be another player.
I think if Evolve formed a consciousness, it would see the state it's in and blow its brains out.
Ooh, that's intense, but you might have a point there.
Of course, I would probably have to pay $10 to get the gun.
Gotta have the right skin for it.
The exclusive Suicide DLC. Is it really painless?
Probably not.
Oh, you don't get the reference.
No, I'm drawing a blank on it.
MASH.
I never watched MASH.
Ugh.
MASH
is something I'm going to have to subject you to.
MASH is way before my time.
Well, let's just put it this way. A lot of reruns growing up. But yeah, the theme song to MASH is called Suicide is Painless. And there's actually words to it that was from the movie.
I see. I'm not the biggest fan of MASH, but I would check it out for you.
It's one of those shows that has good moments and a lot of episodes that aren't particularly great. But you could really say that about any long-running show. MASH had a ton of episodes.
Yeah, it did.
It actually ran longer than the war that it was set in.
Yeah, I haven't seen any on TV in a long time, but I remember seeing it when I was a kid.
Yeah, matter of fact, they're pulling it from Netflix on April Fool's Day.
Huh. Weird.
Yeah, just, old shows that, not many people watch anymore.
Yeah. So, I think I'm ready to move past poking fun at Ubisoft.
Yeah, or Evolve's hilarious player base.
Or Evolve.
Well, it's our whipping boy until things go to shit with the division. Oh, wait, they already have. I mean, their player base leaves.
Yeah. Well, we'll still keep a place in our heart for Evolve.
Well, somebody has to.
No, they don't. We could just let it die. We won't do that, but we could. So, moving on to the community corner this week, we have 3 emails and
yeah,
some
I was a little
tweets.
worried there for a bit because day before yesterday we had 0, and I put out a tweet and we got 3 answers. So big thank you for all the emails.
Go fans, we love you guys.
And actually, we had a 4th one, which comes before all of these, which was sent to both of us personally, but we didn't forward to the podcast email account.
Oh, are you talking about the one from Biff?
Our Podfather.
Yeah, what did the email say? It said...
the podcast was very enjoyable, but we didn't say his name enough, so Biff.
We're very sorry, Biff, that we didn't say your name enough, Biff.
Biff. Is this getting weird yet, Biff?
No, it's not weird. I've been a part of weirder things.
Oh my.
But there you go, Biff. We said your name a whole bunch. Rage said it more than me, so you should like that. So our first large letter is from B-Lug. It's titled "You Spin Me Right Round."
Yeah, did you know he's actually a streamer?
I did not.
Yeah, I caught one of his streams a few days ago. He was streaming KSP.
Fancy. Yeah. Let's see. I will take the opening line in the first paragraph, and we can just alternate back and forth.
Okay, because I have something to say on the second paragraph.
Okay, well, that's good. You'll get the second paragraph. It says, "Hey guys, first and foremost, Rage informed me this weekend that you were responsible for my alcoholism. Shrink, luckily for you, I'm not an alcoholic." Well, that's good to hear. "About the spin tires saga of last week, from what I read today, this was a big confusion caused by a news website spreading rumors. In the end, it was a bug in the anti-pirating validation based on a date. So not a time bomb, but still a bad thing between Uwe and Pavel. Uwe and Pavel are true.
That's the publisher and the developer.
Okay. Pavel openly said that they owe him a lot of money, and he wasn't able to talk to them for months. So, rumors away. If it would have been true that the publisher would have been a bastard not respecting his contract, I believe that I could have been a good way to denounce it. I would have made it a little differently. So if a publisher buys the rights to sell my game but doesn't give me money for it, I would be pissed off, adding a time bomb, waiting until the game breaks, and going on the public place about it to make sure no other game developer makes the same mistake would be a good way to do it, because in this world of giants, ants are not listened to unless you want to talk.
Yeah, I don't believe the story between those two. Because, well, first of all, the code breaking the game after a specific date, whether they want to call it DRM or not, that is the very definition of a time bomb. It's just, what was it there for?
Right.
And honestly, the way it was written, now granted, I am going after or using the explanation from the actual person that fixed the game. This was before the actual official release of the patch. There was a guy on the forums that was put out several versions of a fix to actually get the game working again. He said that this doesn't look like DRM, that it is a time bomb. So why was it there? If they're trying to make it so that that specific version of the game breaks after a certain date, and try to use it as a DRM excuse, saying that the new version wouldn't have that, it would have updated dates. What happens if the company goes under? I mean, we just had a story, literally, of two companies getting axed. One of them talking about going to an event this weekend right before they got axed. It could come out of the blue.
Yeah.
So if this wasn't malicious, which I'm not convinced it's not, using this form of DRM to try to make it so that older versions that are pirated are unplayable after a certain date is monumentally stupid.
I agree.
But I'm not buying the official word. I think this shook things up enough that those two are talking again. And he's taking back the whole screwing with the publisher. Because this would shake things up enough.
Yeah. I'm not invested enough to really have too much of an opinion.
Oh, I'm pissed off.
One way or the other.
Because I actually have this game.
Yeah.
But this is the risk you take with buying indie games, is that you have this drama. Always the chance of this drama, I should say. But even larger indie games, yeah, Double Fine is a good example of just screwing you over just out of the blue.
Yeah.
So, not even going with a larger indie company is a place to be safe. You just have to hope that the company that you're buying from is actually, reputable. And
that they'll be around for a while, or have a greater chance.
Yeah, because if this was DRM, this was so stupid. This was a stupid way to do it. Proven that the explanation that the guy that was actually fixing the game gave is accurate, of course. But he showed examples of code, and there was something like 15 different time bombs set to go off either in the last week of February or the first week of March. So, yeah, something's fishy there.
I suppose eventually we'll get the full story, but...
Yeah, perhaps.
Hopefully.
On another point, I'll continue with the letter. I want to raise about pre-purchase in DLC. Someone said it's mostly the fault of the consumer, but that's not totally true. So you take a great game series like Civilization, but you add expansions to it. Great. More content for a great game. Do you buy it? Then Civs comes out along with a great game again and a big expansion set. A little too pricey, but when sales comes, still great. After that, you get a little DLC to add to that. And to add a little thing to the game, like new characters and the new vehicles. Okay, I don't need them all, but at Christmas I'll buy them for $5. Right. This is the kind of DLC operation that's have been okay and good for both parties. You get a great game and you add a lot of content with expansions, plus a full extra, not really useful content at a really low price. Where this becomes bad is continuing with Civ here. You get out a game and that is only a reskin in another setting of the game, Civilization Beyond Earth. It looks like only a reskin of Civ 5 minus all the DLCs. But after a couple of months, Rising Tides comes out and adds new content to the game, but at a $30 price point. This makes me mad. I was so angry that I learned that after buying Beyond Earth without knowing that it was only a reskin. Yeah, and this is where games media really let you down, because a lot of people were praising Beyond Earth, using your example. You remember seeing a lot of reviews for it, right?
Yeah, Beyond Earth got a lot of really good reviews across the board. There were some that called it out for being basically like a really good mod for Civ 5 or a good expansion content for Civ 5 that, got really boring and repetitive by the end of the game. But overall, it had more positive reviews than those.
Yeah, maybe I'm being a little too hard on the consumer here, just because they're being let down by games media. But you also have to look at the history of this with the Civ series. Okay, I don't recall on Civ 4, this was before my time, but with Civ 5, the base game was decent, but it wasn't living up to the previous Civ. Then the expansions came out and made it essentially the full game. And
Civ 4, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Civ 4 was the same way. The original, or the base game of Civ 4 was a decent Civ game, but, aside from the graphical upgrades, not really comparable to Civ 3. And then you got, what was the big upgrade for Civ 4?
Beyond the Sword?
Yeah, Beyond the Sword. That was the one that really added a bunch of stuff to the game that made it better than Civ 3. And that's how Civ games go. The base version is...
Yeah, it's Beyond the Sword, Colonization, and Warlords for Civ 4. I have the full set. Yeah. I just never got into them because, I don't like the basically death ball mechanic for armies.
Yeah. But, that's how all the Civ games are.
Yeah,
you get one.
Yeah, in this case, it's not really being let down. It's just now I have to know the history of the series. And at that point, well, it is still being let down because if you're not familiar with how Civ was, or previous Civs, you're not going to expect that Beyond Earth is going to be essentially the same thing over again, where you're going to have to wait for an expansion or two.
Yeah. I think that maybe we are a bit harsh on the whole consumer... Whoa, hit my keyboard there. Maybe we are a bit harsh on the whole consumer responsibility thing, but
yeah,
I do think that it's on you more than it is on anyone else to do your due diligence and figure out what it is that you're paying for. And I don't know if Civ 5 is the right game to...
That there's so much cronyism and patting on backs for game reviewers.
Yeah. I don't know if the Civ series is a good series to discuss this over because...
Yeah, because of the storied history of doing the same thing over and over again. It would be like talking about the Total War series being broken on launch when it's done that for at least the last half dozen iterations.
Yeah, it's broken on launch and then a patch or something comes out that, makes it superior to the previous one. Sometimes a series of patches, but, whatever.
Yeah, but I'll continue on and then you can pick up the last paragraph since it ties right in.
Sure, that's fine.
And that's only one case. A lot of games out there force the consumer to buy DLC to get the full game and to really appreciate what they pay for, which is too much. It's not only the consumer's fault. We want good games, and sometimes we buy them without knowing that it's complete or not. I don't get caught in that too often. I'm more of a waiting guy. Usually I buy my games in bundles with all the DLC in a sale, but for a very small price. But I have been caught on Civ Beyond Earth and Planetary Annihilation. Oh, that's actually a better example of Planetary Annihilation.
Yeah, Planetary Annihilation came out nowhere near the same state that it was promised, and it's still not there. It's
didn't
better.
they release a completely new version?
Yeah, they released a completely new version that had some expanded content and stuff in it, and it's closer to what they promised.
Yeah, I'm not sure if
originally.
they gave that to the original buyers or if they gave just a discount. I can't recall which it was.
I don't know. I didn't buy it until after that version of the game came out, so.
Yeah, but Planetary Annihilation, I think, is a better example of this. Even though it doesn't go the DLC route, if I recall correctly. It's just that it came out very lackluster, and a lot of review sites, once again, didn't call them on it.
Yeah.
And how can you educate yourself if games media is really laying you down? You have to really, really dig for, I don't even want to call them honest reviews, but more realistic ones. You know,
right.
Looking back at what the Kickstarter promised, and then looking at the actual game and seeing what is there and what isn't, and what the game dev is talking about. If it's going to be going through the early access program, which I'm pretty sure Planetary Annihilation did, what they're going to do there. It's a very, very involved process, especially with early access games, trying to figure out what the developer's going to do during the early access program. And not a lot of sites cover that. It's hard to educate yourself and make an informed decision when there's literally no information out there.
Yeah, and companies don't always release, dev notes or like a lot of information on where the game is at, like what stage and things like that. So it can become extremely difficult. And in those cases, I would say just wait until it's actually out and you can read a review about it or multiple reviews.
Yeah, we were talking just before the podcast started about the KSP dev notes. Not a lot of game devs do weekly dev notes about what they're working on an upcoming patch.
Yeah.
You'll get something more like a monthly set of dev notes, like Prison Architect is a good example of this. They'll do a monthly update. And they'll go pretty in depth on what they've worked on. But a lot of times, you're lucky if you get dev notes, to be honest.
Yeah. I can only think of a couple of games that do like real regular dev notes. There's KSP. They do weekly dev notes like 99% of the time.
Yeah. Even when there's not a lot to talk about, they at least put out something.
Yeah. Eve does that. They have weekly dev notes and weekly dev streams, even when there's not a lot happening
Warframe,
in the news.
The third time I've brought up Warframe tonight. They do I think it's a monthly, pretty in-depth dev stream. I'm pretty sure it's either monthly or like 2 or 3 weeks. They'll go for like an hour on a stream just talking about what's going on and take questions.
Yeah, I've seen them do that before. I watched one time. But to finish off the letter, it says, to finish this already too long letter, Shrink, I wish I had more time to reopen my EVE Online account to play with you. Aw, thanks. All your stories are good and your gameplay looks like mine, a miner with a view in industry. But I have a life, a job, a wife, a child in the making. Congratulations.
Oh my.
Other games I like.
His stream had a donation thing for his child. Unfortunately, I don't have the money to donate, but putting it out there, possibly someone can. I know Aki put in a fair amount of money for him.
Going, I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh well, doesn't matter.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I wanted to at least get that in there.
Just slide it in.
Oh baby.
Anyways, other games I like, game development and other programming that I do, plus a stream to maintain.
There
I almost forgot I need sleep. I wish I could stream Eve, but the life of a miner is not an exciting enough one for that. I disagree. Thanks again for the great podcast and have a nice week. See you Friday. We will see you on Friday, B-Lug.
Oh, is he going to show up to the friend zone?
I hope so, but I think he just means since the podcast released on Friday, he'll be there. Okay, next letter. This was from Groove. pure hatred from Groove. I'm sending my hate mail to vglpodcast@gmail.com. We got a hate mail. I'll read the first paragraph, or should I read the second?
Read down until he loses his breath.
Okay. I was thinking the first paragraph was about me. It says, normally, a letter begins with some nice words to those who receive it. But I won't do this. I won't do this because I'm so angry. I hate you. Yes, I really hate you. Let me tell you why. I was listening to Kerbal and I heard that you'd start your own podcast. And I thought, oh, hey, that's cool. I like those guys, and I like podcasts, so I should probably listen to their podcast too. For the first few weeks, everything was fine. I listened to you and appreciated your podcast, but then everything changed. Just as every day I would start your podcast and think it would be a nice drive. I mostly listen to podcasts while driving or gaming. And it was a really nice drive until this guy, I won't say his name here, maybe I should just call him he who must not be named, started to talk about... Unfortunately, no, I'm not Scott Manley. I'd have a way better accent. Hello. Anyway, started to talk about the game that we all know as Eve. You know, a quick aside to Scott Manley, his channel's where I discovered Eve Online for the first time several years ago when he did a tutorial series on Eve.
Also, it's his fault.
Yeah,
it really is the person, he who must not be named.
Yeah, that's where it all started. Anyways, he talked about it and told great stories in the game, and I got more and more attracted to Eve. It went on for some episodes, and his Eve stories got better and better. At the end, I was forced by the dark side to buy that damn game this Sunday. It was probably the worst day in my entire life. Since then, I'm writing this letter on Tuesday. I've played this game for more than 22 hours. 22! Exclamation point. I didn't do much else other than working and playing Eve the entire time. And that's not all. I just listened to episode 8, where this other guy, won't name him either, talks about Boosters and Space State podcasts, and he mentions those two guys he was chatting with. And the one of them was me, and I'm not called Dr. Groove. My name is Groove with a duh prefix, D-A. Maybe it's da prefix, if Groove isn't available, but not Dr. Groove. There's no excuse for that. I'm really outraged. How could someone possibly get my name wrong?
Sorry.
And then
hey, it's my thing to get names wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, that's your thing. And then he's got inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale.
In my defense, I just barely caught that, and I was quickly jotting down names. And I probably just typoed, so I'm terribly sorry about that. But at least you're not Chris.
But, all right. You can read the nice part of the letter.
Okay, so I think I'm better now. I'm calm enough to say hello to y'all. So, hey, J. Arthur and Caffeine Rage. I'm sorry you had to read this, but you really wanted... you wanted it. I wanted it. Yeah, this was sent in after I posted out that we had no letters for the week.
Right.
You asked for it so often, and I wasn't no longer able to resist it. First of all, I want to thank you for your great podcast, and you do an awesome job, and I want more. Well, we're recording more right now.
Yep. And thank you for your kind words.
I also hope that my English is okay. I'm German, so I'm sorry if there's too many mistakes. It's not too bad. That's one thing I've noticed, that a lot of people say sorry for my English, and this isn't that bad. I've seen a lot worse from native speakers. I've written worse.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, too, is it's like, you speak way better English than I speak German.
Yeah, very, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Let's just put it this way. The most German I know right now is just watching the Secret Hitler podcast, or streams from Total Biscuit. Yeah, 9.
9.
And then Jesse goes off on a rant.
At one point, I knew
totally not Hitler.
At one point, I knew how to ask the question, "Excuse me, miss, where's the bathroom?" But I don't remember how to say that anymore. It's been several years since I learned silly phrases in other languages.
My hovercraft is full of eels.
Huh?
You don't remember the Monty Python sketch with the bad phrase book?
Oh, yeah. And there's like something about nipples, and he's at like a store, and he gets arrested for talking about nipples.
Yeah. Anyway, we should continue on. I came to you from Kerbalcast, and I listened to you ever since the first episode. As the audience and Velvety Smooth might already know. I'm now playing Eve, where I joined J. Arthur's corporation. Just like him, I prefer the industrial side over fighting. So soon, as far as I did any serious progress in the game, we'll bond together soon. And yes, 22 hours in Eve aren't that much for a beginner.
Yeah, let's just go take a real quick look at how many hours Steam says I've played Eve. And remember, this is just one account. I have 2 accounts that I play simultaneously. Yeah, but to be fair,
you tend to leave that patcher on as well.
Oh, no, I'm way better at that now. I can't use that as an excuse anymore. According to Steam, I've played Eve for... You want to take a guess at how many hours? I'll give you a hint. It's less than 1,000.
999.
A little bit less than that.
998.
705 hours.
Oh, damn, that's what I was going to guess next.
And that's for just this one account. I have 2 that I play simultaneously. So it's probably closer to 12 or 1,300.
Well, when Katie kicks you out, I'll leave the recliner open for you.
Oh, thanks. I'll just drive to your house and play Eve there instead.
I hope you chip in on the bandwidth, because remember, I have a data cap.
Good point. I'll be sure to do that. Wink.
Oh, I'm so not getting money for that. I'm also quite a decent Kerbal player, as I've spent 500 hours, and I did a lot of things in the game, like a Mooner refueling station for deep space missions, or a Falcon 9 style rocket with recovery of the first stage. Yeah, that seems to be the big thing nowadays, is doing Falcon 9 recreations. And see, the closest I could get to a recreation of Falcon 9 is the first stage exploding.
Yeah, I'm real good at that.
Granted, I do use stage recovery, so I could probably do it a lot easier with that. But So that's about all for me for now. You might hear it from me again, or you might find me in several Kirby-related Twitch streams. Homer to your mobile.
Which is a thing from Kerbalcast,
yeah.
Which is
yeah, we're gonna have to figure out what YouTube is butchering on our end for closed captions.
Well, we'll have to turn closed captions on, but I'm sure there's something. Yeah. So I was saying earlier that Groove joined my corporation, and we've had some lengthy chats, and I've been teaching him things about the game, and it's been a lot of fun. It's good to have more people in there that I know, like the people that the random people that I joined up with for the corporation. They're nice and they're cool and all, but I don't actually know them. And like I know Groove from Kerbalcast, so it's nice to have someone else in there that I know. That was it.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that.
All right.
More, I know some of these words.
So then let's move on to our third and final letter.
Yeah, which is an audio letter.
From Kimis, who was nice enough to send me raw audio, which I hope that works better. I suppose we'll see.
Oh, you talked to him. You didn't mention that you were having editing issues. Partly my fault, but also you had a issue with his one of his audio letters, didn't you?
Yeah, one of his audio letters just wouldn't work. Thankfully, it was the short one, so I could very easily read the script and just put that in its place, which is what I did. But for some reason,
it just would not podcast.
Yeah, it just would not import into Audacity. It kept like failing, or it would import and Audacity would crash. I probably had Audacity crash like 13 or 14 times during that portion of the editing. And so finally I just gave up, which our podcast, I don't know if I said anything or if we mentioned anything about it, but towards the end of the episode, for some reason we got out of sync on the last episode. And then on top of that, probably 2 minutes of Rage's audio were missing.
Oh, it's nothing important.
So it took me forever.
Yeah, just well, I should say, just like everything else I say, not important.
Oh, but what you say is important to me. But anyways, it took me forever to figure that out, because not only were we out of sync, but there was audio missing. And so I finally got us back into sync and figured out what the audio was missing, and then so it just last week's episode was rough.
I've been keeping an eye on my output, and it looks like I'm recording everything this time around. Hopefully. maybe.
Hopefully, yeah. But
we are at 1 hour 49 minutes, right?
but one time you're going to do that and you're going to be serious, and I'm not going to believe you because you joke about it so much. No, we took.
That's when you hear the panic in my voice. Because remember, I do have a timer as well.
Yeah, you time traveled, but
we time travel next Sunday.
We're at 2:23 roughly right now, and some of this is going to be cut out because we took a short break and some other behind the scenes things. So probably you're looking at 2:15 to 2:18 right now on actual playtime once I get done editing. But that's neither here nor there. Let's take a listen to Kimis's audio letter.
Greetings everybody, Kimis here again, this time not directly related to the last week's topics, but hearing your plea for more letters, I simply had to send in something. They don't call me the cricket player for nothing. Let's talk free-to-play. Let's talk free-to-play done wrong. Let's talk Clash Royale. Why? Because the only way to get new units and upgrade old ones is cards from chests which take between 3 and 12 hours to unlock. Because even though you get chests for every match you win, you can only unlock one at a time and hold up to 4 total. Because you can pay premium currency to unlock them instantly or buy already unlocked chests with much better content in them. Because looking at top ranked players and doing some simple guesstimation, there's no way they could have got their decks in the time the game was out without spending hundreds if not thousands of dollars. Let's talk free-to-play. Let's talk free-to-play done right. Let's talk Clash Royale. Why? Because the game is extremely fun with fast-paced combat and well-thought mechanics, where different types of units counter or synergize with one another. Because the format allows for amazing comebacks with you going from desperate defense to last-second successful charge. Because the devs made a great decision that even when you run out of chess slots, you can still play the arena and improve your strategies. Because all of this pay-to-win bullshit doesn't really concern you, as those who pay for the game quickly climb the ladder, and matchmaking system makes sure you'll never see them again. Now, disclaimer. I am in no way, shape or form affiliated with or paid by Supercell or any of its subsidiaries. Having played exactly 7 days at the time of me recording this, I've put somewhere around 15 hours into the game and have not spent a penny on it, unless you count lost productivity due to waking up in the middle of the night because I've got a chest to unlock. I just wanted to write in because I found it quite interesting how much you can get away with when it comes to business model by simply making a good game. When describing the mobile games industry, mostly in terms of how bad it is, pay-to-win gets thrown around as a cause of all trouble. I'm not sure if I agree with that anymore. I now think that pay-to-win is simply one of the tell signs of bad design. What is usually meant is that you can be objectively better at a game if you pay for it. Okay, sure, but why does this actually bother you? The only situation when that would be a problem is if you had to directly compete with those who paid to get it better, and if you are paired against them, that's not a problem with the business model, that's a problem with matchmaking. If you are forced to pay to skip tedious parts or timer locks, that's a problem with design which put them in there in the first place. Is Clash Royale pay to win? Yes, there is no way to compete with top players without buying microtransactions. But again, this doesn't bother me because I'm only playing against other free players. This kind of reminds me of Banner Saga Online, which had something of a pay-to-lose system, because buying into higher ranks meant you faced people with same equipment, but much more experience. Don't use microtransactions as an easy target. Try to figure out which exact mechanics are they ruining, and maybe we can get better free-to-play games. Beware of the mail crickets. Kmis.
And thank you, Kimis, for another enlightening audio letter. I have to say I love your intro, the Cricket Slayer. That's pretty good. Yeah, we haven't had the crickets in a long time, and I think you've sent in a letter to every podcast.
Yes, since and thank you for that.
Yeah, since we first really called for the male crickets to die. So, like Rach said, thank you very much. Anyways, talking about free to play, so Clash Royale, I'm actually going to download it right now on my phone as I'm talking.
So you're going to be talking about this next week. I saw a stream Total Biscuit did of this game, and I do agree with you that there is no way that a free-to-play person could keep up because, well, at least the version that he played. In order to get new units, after you win a game, you get a chest, and each chest has a time to unlock it. Or you can pay a few the premium coins and unlock it right away. And it's very, very abusive. If you're using it as a toilet game, unless you're having some serious bowel problems, the time what?
Nothing. Just you talking about your bowels.
Unless you're in the bathroom more than like once every couple hours, the timer's not going to really matter all that much if you're using it as a toilet game. It's a strategy. I want to put it like a cross between a real-time strategy and Hearthstone because it uses a card system. If it's the Clash Royale I'm thinking of course. And you're building up a deck and using the deck to essentially fight an enemy king.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I've seen some stuff on it, but I keep meaning to play it. I actually almost downloaded it and played it today. I just didn't. I wish I would have now, but
yeah, where the system falls apart is if you're trying to play it more than just a toilet game, because that timer is going to hurt you, and there is no way for you to compete with the whales because they are literally buying power. And I will agree that it's at least somewhat pay to win. It's about the pay to win as Hearthstone is, where there's no way to really compete against someone that has all the cards unless you have a really good deck built.
Right, a good deck
even a good lucky net deck requires certain epic cards, certain legendary cards, so you're having to craft those, and that takes a lot more resources than if you're just putting down $50 and getting a ton of packs.
Right, because odds are out of that ton of packs you'll be able to get one of them anyways.
So you're in a weird area of pay to win. It's not completely pay to win because you're not directly buying the power. You're buying a chance at the power. But at the same time, it's not exactly friendly to the free-to-play players at all. It's a weird in-between. And I will agree with you that pay to win or blatant pay to win is indicative of at least a flawed game mechanic somewhere, if not just the game developer just wanting to just screw you over.
Yeah, I'm going to play it this week, and I'll report on it next week and tell you just how accurate the pay-to-win stuff is. I mean, I think he's spot on based on what I know about the game so far, but I'll bring some first-hand experience to the table next week.
Yeah, granted, I only saw I think it was a pre-release build that Total Biscuit streamed that was only available in a couple of countries.
That wasn't a pre-release build, I don't think. I just think that for some reason it released in other countries.
Yeah, it released in certain countries, but not the United States yet, or something. It was something weird. And I didn't catch all the stream, but I saw that he put in a bunch of money to basically, buy the power, and was skipping multi-hour unlocks of crates.
Right. We'll see. I do think it's got some of those elements of buying power, and I do agree that, like he said towards the end, that buying power is a clear, awful game design element. But, for these free-to-play games, use it, sadly.
Yeah, and it's very prevalent in mobile games, and part of the reason why I'm a little hesitant to play mobile ports. That and it misses quality of life things usually that you kind of expect in direct or games made for the PC market or made for the console market.
Yeah. There's a lot of positive aspects of mobile gaming, but buying power and coming from a free-to-play market, a lot of the mobile free-to-play influence is I think, negative on the larger gaming sphere. I mean, we see that kind of stuff coming into more traditional AAA type games, stuff like that, which kind of what you were just saying, but, just my take on it. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'll play it this week and bring some first-hand experience to the table for next week.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. I actually was looking forward to it. I just haven't got around to playing it yet because I played quite a few other games this week. But that wraps us up for the letter. No. Let me. That wraps us up for the letter portion of Community Corner. Now let's go over to Caffeine Rage for the tweets.
I thought you were leaving the Community Corner already again.
No, I remembered this week. I just was kind of making an official transition.
Oh, well, that's a first.
Yeah, I know. Put a little effort in this week.
I have a few tweets. Haywood Floyd, in response to episode 9, just finished. I just finished episode 8.5. Well, they tend to come out every week or so.
Every week, usually.
And then he said, I couldn't agree more with your rant about Nintendo in response to 8.5. Which one of us was ranting about Nintendo? Remember, this was 2 weeks ago now.
I think it was me, because you were like, yeah, I don't really know anything about Amiibo.
Yeah.
And I was like, Amiibo, blah. Yeah, that was my quick rendition of all the things I said about Amiibo.
That's pretty much what I hear when you talk about Eve.
Fair enough.
And then he also said, I'd like to send in something, but I don't have the time right now. Well, little did he know that counts.
That does count, yes. So in your face.
And let's see, we have Million Lights talking about We Come in Peace in response to his new podcast that he's part of. That is the Spacebar podcast.
Yeah, so I did not listen to the entire their entire pilot episode.
Yeah, it came out a little too soon to this podcast, or the recording of this, to actually listen to the entire thing. I've gotten a third of the way through it.
Yeah, I'm maybe a half an hour in.
Yeah, for a pilot episode, it is done really well. But then again, at least a couple of them have experience from Boosters and Space Tape.
Yeah, so I actually got them to properly set up their SoundCloud feed. So you can go look at their RSS feed, which I think that they now have.
Yeah, I'm going to have to probably dig that up for the show notes.
They have it here. It's if you go look at their Twitter page for Spacebar Podcast, on their current top tweet, it's the RSS feed, and then you can see the link to the RSS feed. But I added that to Podcast Addict, and I'm going to finish the episode later.
Well, I already was kind of snarking on their YouTube channel, which they have a dedicated YouTube channel instead of just doing on their individual ones.
Did we talk about that before the show?
We talked about that before the show, I think.
Okay.
Where we had the false start as well, everything kind of is jumbled around, so we'll talk about it again just in case. They're taking a different approach where they have a dedicated YouTube channel and putting all their episodes there instead of putting it on their individuals, or at least I assume. I didn't see it pop on Aki's feed yet, and I'm following him. Which is not how we do it. We have it on our personal YouTube accounts, partly because we have a captured audience already on our 2 accounts.
Right. I've got 51 subscribers now this week, and you've got almost 100.
Yeah, I'm pushing 100. I'll eventually get there.
Man, man pushing 100.
Damn kids on my lawn rebooting things.
Couldn't resist. But yeah, it sounds like a really good podcast. I'm looking forward to finishing off the episode.
Yeah, and I'll skip ahead on the tweets, and they said that I've listened to all your podcasts, and before I edited this, did it influence the editing of this podcast? Maybe. Well, we're gonna have to up our game then.
Well, I'm trying, at least in the first half an hour or so, I'm looking for editing influence, and I'm going, I don't hear any influence except for the fact that you do an intro song that leads into your voices. And I mean, I got that from quality control from Polygon, and I'm sure they got it from someone else. It's not.
Yeah, and the only thing that is different on my end, whenever I put it on YouTube, is that I do a nice fade on that. Because it's kind of just jumping in instead of a fade in.
Yeah, the song just starts, it fades out, and then it fades in.
Yeah, see, I do a proper fade in on it.
Yeah, I don't fade it in. I just start it loud and proud. Bam.
And that's the difference between the 2 versions.
Yeah. I don't know, there might be some other editing influences in there, and if Aki or any of the other guys,
I think we're going to have to actually get some proper transitions listening to them.
Yeah, we need some. I've considered doing it before, but I've said multiple times, like, I'm very busy and also I'm lazy.
I bet if it was mining Eve for transitions, you would have already had them.
Oh yeah, I'd have like mined us out like a perfect podcast if that was how it worked.
Oh, so you're replacing both of us then and putting in other people.
Yeah, we'd be set for life.
Get all those royalties. It's the Biff plan.
Get the royalties and the Patreon money.
Anyway, let's get back to the tweets. We have a couple from Supe.
Right, keep going.
Back from Wales, time to finish setting up Eve. Been dreaming about this game for a week. Woke up in sweats a few times. And then he also said, is there something that you could analyze about me dreaming that my carrier was destroyed by a cackling 71-year-old cat lady? Now, please define cat lady. Are we talking about a lady that has cats or a lady who is a cat?
I'm thinking the first one, but who knows? Maybe it's the second one.
I mean, it really depends on how much anime you watched before you go into bed.
Yeah,
and
fair
also, is she shooting the cats at you? Because that is a very important thing to analyze.
You know, I tweeted back to him like just a quick funny response. I was like, something along the lines of, it sounds like you're carrying the appropriate amount for this. But yeah, it sounds like he's got a fear of cats or something. If a cat lady's killing his carrier.
I guess we're gonna have to try to expose him to some pussy then.
Bye child safety rating. I mean, we've lost it a few times in this episode already, but that one was definitely it's gone.
Double entendre.
Was that all the tweets?
Yes, that was all the tweets. Now we can leave the community corner.
And that wraps us up for community corner. That was there you go. That's my transition for this week. If I choose to leave it in there, I don't know. I might just go and find some stuff.
You're too lazy to edit it out.
I edit out a lot of stuff that you don't realize I edit out. Sometimes you leave stuff in there I have to go edit out. Of course, that's usually pretty easy. Just highlight and hit mute audio.
Well, I don't do a lot of editing on my stuff. I just send you the file.
Yep. So I have to do your editing and my editing. And now that we're editing in a transition to our Steam Deals of the Week. Yeah, you see what I did there?
Oh, very nice.
Actually, no, that one was pretty rough. So I've got 4 games.
And I only have 2.
There were a lot of games on the Steam Deals weekly deals that I actually owned. I'm going, oh yeah, that's a good game. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one too. Originally, I was going to narrow it down, but we're doing good for time, so I'll do my 4, and you can do your 2. And
okay. Want me to just jump in the middle of your 4?
Sure, I'll do 2. You can do 2, and then I'll do 2.
Okay.
All right. So first,
who's 2?
Do what?
Who's 2? If we're doing 2, never mind.
Who's on first? What's on second?
Third base.
Anyways, the first game on my list of recommendations is 3079 Block Action RPG. This game looks like a turd, to be honest, but it plays really great. It's a procedurally generated open world RPG game that has got shockingly crafting elements in them, with it being blocky. But it's a lot of fun. There's a big world to explore. Like I said, it's procedurally generated. There's a storyline. You're an artificial intelligence that is part of a military testing program, and you become sentient. And so you get involved in a civil war as a sentient AI, and you pick a side, and you'll do quests for them, and ultimately you're trying to escape, but there's different ways you can escape, either on your own or by helping out one of the factions and getting up in their good graces, or other things that you can do. And it's just a nice big open world experience that's not too tough on a machine to run, and that plays really well and feels really solid.
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty mixed on Steam.
Yeah.
I wonder if it had to do with early patches that it improved eventually.
Well, there's several of these. I think there's 3079, 3089, and there's a 40 something or other. And they're all basically the same
I'm holding
game.
out for 90210.
That would be awesome. But I mean, they're all basically the same game with just a few improvements made along the way. So any version that you get is comparable to the other versions. And it is currently I didn't look the price up beforehand. Let's just open the link.
99 cents at 80% off. Originally $4.99.
All right, second game on my list is Thunderwolves. Thunderwolves is an arcade helicopter shooty blow 'em up game with a
that's a new genre.
yeah. Well, it's a fun genre. It is a slightly older game. I believe I bought it in 2014. I want to say for $1 on another Steam sale, and it was well worth the $1 that I paid for it at the time. It's got a nice over the top, silly arcade style soundtrack, which is great to listen to because it's like all really cliched rock music that you think would be in movies about helicopters. Nothing interesting like Rise of the Valkyries or Flight of the Valkyries from what's the Vietnam movie never mind.
It's the one where they shoot Charlie.
Yes. Never mind. Maybe I'll look it up later and I'll edit it in or give a link or something. But it's nothing interesting like that. It's just like really cheesy rock from the 90s and 80s, like sounding stuff. It's great. And the voice acting is like over the top. It's not bad. It's actually pretty decent voice acting, but they overact everything and make it like just a cheesy experience. And the gameplay is really solid. So it's a fun game with a cheesy soundtrack and cheesy acting. And it's just like you're laughing for half the time, and then the other half the time you're like, oh, this is actually a fun, challenging action game. And it is currently $2.49. It's 75% off, so normally it's $10. And I think it's worth $2.50. If you're just looking for some nice action and a nice action arcade game to distract you for a little while, it's a little bit over the top and silly, this is a game for you.
Okay, it's my turn?
It is your turn.
Okay, my first one is Please Don't Touch Anything. I talked about this one before when I picked it up in the Steam Winter Sale. It's sort of a puzzle game, but it's also plays a bit more like just a toy, something to just jump into and mess around with a few minutes. Essentially, the closest thing to a toilet game that you could get on PC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, granted, lugging your computer into the bathroom is probably going to be tough if you're not on a notebook or something. But that's beside the point. Essentially, you're set down at a console, and you're told not to touch anything. And there's this giant red button. This shiny button. And of course, you have to touch it. It has, I want to say, 20-some different things that can happen whenever you do various things to the console. Such as, if you press the button, it opens up this panel with a switch. If you flip the switch and press the button, something goes off. Or if you flip the switch, something else happens. And it's very... it has this whole thing where you're trying to figure out what will cause the next thing to happen, which is where it kind of falls in between the genres of just a puzzle game and just a video game toy. But it's interesting, and it's very cheap. It is only $1.49. Even without discount, it's $5. It's 70% off right now.
Yeah, last time when you talked about it, I added it to my my wish list for my games on Google Play, the Play Store.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't got around to buying it yet, but it looks like a great game, like perfect for a mobile device.
Yeah, it's probably not ideal for PC just because, it's more of, just sit down and just toy with something while you're waiting in line or something.
Right.
But if, you want something to just goof around with for, 5-10 minutes, it's a pretty good pick. I will say that if you decide just to cheat and use a god, you could probably beat the game in 30 minutes and get all the endings. But, that's not fun. This type of game really thrives on the discovery.
Right.
Okay, and now let's get to the bad game.
Okay, what's your bad game?
Not GTA 5.
Not GTA 5.
Or not GTA V, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Okay.
I want you to go look at this game.
Oh, that's actually the name of the game. I thought you were making a joke of some
No,
kind.
I'm not making a joke. That is literally the name of the game.
Is it on Steam?
It's on Steam.
Not GTA V. Well, it's only 74 cents.
Yeah, and that is a waste of 74 cents. Take a look at the screenshots on it. I give games a pass for not being great on gameplay or art style if they try something different. This is literally just a Snake game. It is terrible.
Look at the screenshots, and these look awful.
Yeah.
And the video, like, just watching it on mute, good lord. It hurts my eyes, like the little, I don't know, caterpillar-looking thing, like, rolling across the screen.
Yeah, now, where they try to play it off, well, they first of all say it's a parody, which it actually got DMCA'd by Rockstar for a short time and pulled from Steam. Is that they say that they're not making money on it. They're giving everything to charity, profit-wise, to a charity called Peer Productions, where the dev team met one another. And honestly, I say just, if you want to give to charity, give to the charity directly and not get this turd of a game. And the fun part is that they're making a sequel called COD.
Wow. I am massively excited for that.
Just that one isn't looking like an improvement.
Oh, I have to go. Okay. From Jim Sterling. Definitely one of the most British games I've ever played. And that's like, they've got that in the review like it's a positive thing. I have to go see if Jim Sterling did like a Jimpressions or something of this game. Not right now, but I have to go check that out.
COD is essentially, it's not out yet, but it is painful looking.
Yes, it is. I don't know. It looks like it might be silly or stupid to play on stream for like 2 hours and be like, haha, look at how bad and stupid this game is, and then like the joke would wear off.
Yeah, well, I didn't include it in the list, but there was actually a developer that basically quit his game this week because of PewDiePie. Or have you seen that one?
I think I saw the news headline, but I haven't actually seen the article.
Yeah, it's not really worth diving it too much into. Basically, guy makes Animal Simulator, gets PewDiePie's attention. PewDiePie talks about how bad the game is, which is actually a shock considering PewDiePie.
Yeah.
And guy gets upset at the negative reaction and quits the game and decides to go make something else. And that's this caliber of game. If you want to give to charity, don't buy this game because, first of all, okay, 74 cents after Valve's cut, and they say after profit, so who knows what they mean by that.
0 cents.
Yeah, it's literally nothing. Just go give them a couple bucks. Go give the charity Pure Productions a couple bucks, assuming that is a reputable charity, because I honestly don't know. This is the first time I've heard about them, and attached to a shitty game like this, doesn't make me really want to break out my wallet.
No, me neither. But a game that does make me want to break out my wallet, if I didn't already own it, would be Hegemonia: The Stolen Heritage. This is a expansion, but it's a standalone expansion that includes all of the original base game stuff in it, so you don't really have to buy Hearts of Iron, which was the first one. But this is a Homeworld-esque space 4X game.
I'm trying to find this on Steam.
It starts out very linearly. Like, the first mission is you're commanding like a couple of squads, and you have to do exactly what it tells you to do. And very slowly, for the next few missions, you start getting more and more choices of what to go or of what to do and where to go. Until eventually, it basically just opens up, and you've got this solar system, and they're like, "Okay, here's your end goal. Figure out how to complete the end goal, and we'll give you missions along the way that can help you accomplish your goal." It's an older game, so it doesn't look the greatest. But in terms of strategy RTSs that aren't 4Xs, because this very clearly is not a 4X. Everything is going on in real time, and you have to go back and forth and manage it. And the game is played from a like kind of your top-down RTS perspective. It's a lot of fun. It's got some unique unit commands in the way that the squads of ships work and the way that you can order them around. It's difficult to explain, but playing it, you'll be like, oh yeah, this doesn't really feel like any other MMO I've ever played. And it's a good fun game all around. Again, it fills a niche that isn't serviced anymore by newer games, really. So it gets to soak up the glory. And I really do think Homeworld is the best way to describe it, because stuff carries over from mission to mission, and you do get little breaks here and there, cutscenes, but for the most part, once you actually hit the open kind of solar system environment, you can control the whole game in real time from one of any of the 3 major posts that you get, which is like your home planet, a big star base, and then I can't remember what the other one is. Oh, now I remember, but that would spoil it. So there's some interesting stuff that happens. It's actually got a pretty complicated and winding story, particularly with all the branching paths you can take.
Interesting. It looks like it's about 50-50 on Steam on reviews.
I liked it. It's got some problems, running on modern
Of course, it
hardware,
only has 26 reviews, so it's not a great sample size.
I like it. It's got my support. I've played it for some number of hours, and I've not beaten the story. The story, there's 2 like main story branches, and then there's multiple endings based on which branch you choose, and then what paths you take between it. And so I've only finished.
Are they color coded for your convenience?
No, they're not color coded for your convenience.
Damn.
A tiny bit. If you run into what I like to call the Red Army, which I'm not going to spoil what that is if anyone's interested in buying the game. Because once I say it, it gives away quite a few premises that the game works with in order to make all this work properly. And if I screw it up, you'll be a little lost if you decide to play it. Anyways, the next game I picked was Detour. This is a tiny puzzle game.
Yeah, this one's I'm actually familiar with.
Yeah, I got Detour for free at some point. I think for an old review copy or something like that. But it's a cute, fun little puzzle game where the object is to build a better, more efficient kind of road system than your opponent does. So you can get trucks from one end of the screen to the other, and you get points for every truck that you score, and your points just go up over time.
Yeah, it also has a competitive multiplayer mode, but it has hardly anyone playing nowadays. It didn't exactly get a huge player base to begin with.
Yeah, it didn't, but it's just a fun game, and if you're looking for a quick, fun little puzzle game, the AI has got enough of a challenge that, at least for a while, you won't feel bored and stupid. But that wraps up all of my game recommendations for the week.
Yeah, sorry if I brought things down with my choice, or one of my choices.
No, it's okay. I mean, I just didn't find any games that I was like, yeah, that's awful this week.
Obviously, you didn't hit not GTA 5.
No, I did not. I didn't even register it. I guess because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it turned into a bit of a joke for a while. Almost Bad Rats-esque, where, people would give it to, say, oh, I'm going to give you GTA 5. Oh, look, it's not GTA 5. Ha ha
ha. Right.
And I imagine that's how their next game's going to go. It would be interesting to see if they make an actual game at some point, or, one that people would actually want to play.
Right, for more than just a joke.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's nothing wrong with that art style. It'd be interesting to see some games done in that art style. But the games that they have right now just suck.
I'm not even sure if I could call that a style. It's just like MS Paint.
Well, yeah, I guess I see your point. But they could do something. So, that's all of our game recommendations for the week. I suppose it's time to plug stuff.
Yep.
Rach, what are you up to this week on your channel?
Well, I'm plugging along fairly nicely. I did roll out a whole new color scheme for my thumbnails, though.
Which
things are now color-coded for your convenience and mine.
The color scheme is sexy. I haven't seen every bit of it yet, but the parts that I have seen all look really good.
Yeah, basically, I took my usually 3 Let's Play series, and I color-coded them red, green, and blue. Unfortunately, the blue series is currently offline, but that will hopefully be coming back maybe next week. Maybe?
Hopefully. Potentially.
And then beyond that, I have actually a real screenshot or a real thumbnail for the podcast VOD now, because usually I just let it grab, just from the file, from the video itself, because, it's just a static image.
Right.
And a actually decent thumbnail for a Sunday sampler, because I had a very Punky Brewster-esque placeholder for a couple weeks while I tried to figure out what to do with it.
Right.
So if you like a particular series and you don't really care about my other stuff, just look for the corresponding color.
Brand recognition. Good job, Rach.
Pretty much. Trying to, grab some attention without putting anime tits on it.
Oh, but
if that doesn't work,
anime
tits is the next stop.
Anime tits are the best.
And, well, beyond that, the Sunday sampler is still chugging along. I haven't decided what I want to play yet. I have a couple possibilities on it.
Right.
Actually, it's not going to be this week, but I'll tease this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to play it. Is that I just got a review code for a Ben 10 game.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
If you don't play that, I would like to play it.
Unfortunately, I already used the code.
Oh, sad day. But okay.
Yeah, it's I'm pretty sure it's not out yet. It is Ben 10 Game Generator 5D.
Huh. Okay.
And it doesn't even have a store page up yet. And I don't have any knowledge of the Ben 10. I know it's a cartoon series, and that's actually about all my knowledge of Ben 10.
I watch cartoons a lot more than I probably should, and not just because cartoons get me for grown-ups, but because it's like, well, I should be working right now, actually, but I'm just going to watch this cartoon instead, or play Eve instead.
Well, that's your excuse for watching Curious George, isn't it?
I love Curious George, man. Such a good
show.
show.
I lived through his administration. I don't want to see any more.
Ha ha.
Getting a little political today.
Indeed. And where can they find you?
Well, I was going to say, outside of the Sunday Sampler, Darksiders, and I just recorded the last episode of SteamWorld Dig as well, which will be coming out in a couple of weeks.
Fancy. Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of SteamWorld Dig.
Yeah, that's like your jam, isn't it? All the mining.
It is my jam, and they're good videos too.
I'm referenced to you a few times in that series, by the way.
I'm not super far in. I've seen, I think, 2 or 3.
Let's just put it this way. I'll make a comment whenever I'll spoil one ability you get later on. You get a mineral finder, and it shows dots on the screen, where the stuff to dig up is, and I say, and somewhere in Tennessee, a family therapist just wet himself.
How did you know?
But those two are still going strong. SteamWorld Dig will be ending in a couple of weeks, and I haven't chose its replacement either. I have a couple of candidates, and I'm actually toying around with the possibility. I haven't put a lot of thought into it yet, or if I want to do it. Branching off of pure PC gaming and do some emulation stuff.
Ooh, I've been considering some of that as well. No plans to do it yet.
I got a PlayStation 2 emulator working at 720p.
Fancy. I also have a PlayStation emulator working at 720p.
We're of one mind. We've been spending too much time together.
Aw, yeah. I've only got it, though, to play like the few PlayStation 2 games that I loved and miss.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to do a series on it, but I got Persona 4 working.
Fancy.
And it actually looks decent. I've never played the Persona series at all, so I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah, my problem.
I know it's supposed to be like a high school simulator-esque with a RPG going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, my biggest problem with emulation when it comes to recording is that everything I try to record that's been emulated just looks awful. And like XSplit, for example, doesn't recognize the tab that is running my emulation in it. So I either have to do a whole desktop capture or try and find some convoluted way to make it work through like reflections and stuff like that.
Well, I actually got anti-aliasing working on the PlayStation 2 emulator, so it's all nice and smooth. There's no jaggies.
Jaggies suck.
But all that is over on Gaming with Caffeine Rage, and as you heard earlier, I'm slowly creeping up to 100 subscribers. So if you join, it would be greatly appreciated. Or you could just follow me on Twitter with Gaming with CR. And I'm at over 400 there. I guess I'm better in short bursts.
Who knows? I like to listen to you all at once, but...
Oh my.
Or in sequential order, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know. So, for me this week, over on my channel, if you go and look, if you haven't noticed, the Eve video is up. I have a quick little insert in the beginning that explains what took me so long, so you can just go listen to that there, and it'll tell you. Plus, you can enjoy a nice, relaxing, view of Eve. Anyways, other things coming up on the channel. Still recording some Space Engineer stuff. I'm up to 3 episodes now, but like I said before, I wanted to have 5 ready before I started posting them. I'm looking at doing some more Eve content. I've considered doing some tutorials to reflect the latest game updates. I've also considered just kind of recording and then talking over it, what's going on, and giving some post commentary. I think that would be fun.
And here I'm mining an asteroid.
Here I'm mining an asteroid that has the rich tag in front of it, which means it has 10% more minerals. Isn't that exciting?
And now let's go back to the space dock.
Back to the studio. Lost my train of thought again. I'm tired and I'm high on drugs. So that's what we're going with. Other things on YouTube. I'm doing some vlogging stuff. I've got some episodes recorded. Just some random stuff. I'm trying to establish a recording schedule for actually doing real news topics and things like that to discuss while vlogging.
Yeah, getting a schedule is really important for YouTube, even if it's just once a week.
Yeah. So far I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. I'm hoping to have that done in the next couple of weeks. And I'm going to reveal one of my big plans. Once I'm over this head cold and my voice goes back to normal, I'm going to start recording. And I've mentioned this to you before. I'm going to start recording children's books.
You brought that up before.
I don't intend to monetize them. I might test a couple and just see what happens, but I figure that they will be copyright struck down immediately or relatively quickly. But I just had this idea.
Can I make a request?
Yeah, sure.
Go the fuck to sleep.
I actually don't own that book. I want to, but my wife doesn't like it very much, just because of the title. But anyways,
how about its follow up? You've got to fucking eat.
Yes, you do. We're fighting that with my kid right now, refusing to eat food. It's like they're chicken nuggets. You love chicken nuggets.
Get the sweet and sour sauce.
He doesn't like that. Ketchup. He likes ketchup.
Okay, fine, the ketchup.
But anyways, my plan is just to record myself reading these stories, because I'm going to have to read them to my kid all the time anyways. And I just was like, there's not very many children's stories out there on YouTube, but this would be neat. And I'm hoping that it will drive some traffic towards my channel. I know that kids' stories are very different from video game content, but, I want to have a channel with branching content, because that kind of reflects me as a person anyways, and the things that I do.
I mean schizophrenic content.
Yeah, content for people with multiple personalities. But I'm sure there'll be some overlap, kids or parents coming there with their kids to watch a certain video, and then I realize, this person has video games. I like video games.
And he has a podcast where his co-host says fuck a lot. And Biff. But not together.
Good old Biff. But, so that's a thing that's coming up on my channel. I've got basically a giant stack of books I just need to record myself reading, and then I'm going to scan in the pages and put the audio with the appropriate pages. It'll be a decent amount of work to get it going, but once I've got a few, it should be okay. And that's everything that's coming up in the near future on my YouTube channel.
Well, there's also the project we're still working on.
There is, but I'm not mentioning that yet.
Yeah, we'll say that is the Blue series on my channel that is currently inactive, and that's about it for that.
Yeah, that's it for that.
Where can they find you?
I was about to say, you can find me on YouTube at Gaming Psychologist. You can find me on Twitter at JMA4707. And you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/jarthur4707.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some medications out there that will take care of that twitch.
Probably.
And that brings us towards the end of things. You could reach us at vglpodcast@gmail.com with your emails, or you could just tweet us at vglpodcast on Twitter. And our website is videogamelogic.blogspot.com. Too many ats there. I need to really break that up somehow.
Yeah, I think that does it for the week. Am I right? Am I missing anything?
Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and his work can be found at incomputech.com. And now we're done.
Missed Kevin. Like I said, blaming it all on the drugs. Well, as always,
we're both high as kites, and my back's actually feeling fairly decent right now.
Well, that's good. I'm starting to slip into a sleepy coma. Like, I'm doing my best to stay awake and alert.
I've lulled you into a sleepy coma
with your sultry voice. I've been standing up. I've got multiple beverages here, drinking, and no alcohol. That would make me sleepier. But I'm losing this battle against the drugs and the sickness.
So I guess you better say goodbye.
Yep, as always, as the music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Yeah, that's how I feel right now. Okay.
We should have gone to Linux. I'm sure that would have made a couple listeners happy.
Yeah, still not Mac, though. Definitely not going to an Apple product.
What, you don't like throwing away your computer every year?
No.
This one has less buttons on it. It's sleeker.
No thanks.
It comes with a complimentary turtleneck.
I hate turtlenecks. They're itchy.
But they make you look like a douche, and you have to look like a douche to use Apple products half the time.
Just give me some plaid. I'll pretend to be a hipster with my big beard.
Either that or you'll be a lumberjack.
Yeah, I could go for lumberjack.
Are you okay?
I sleep all night. I work all day.
Okay. All set.
Right.
And with some outtake material as well.
Yeah.